Good morning, my friends, my beautiful, beautiful people out there. Ben and Woods 97.3, The Fan. What an historic day here on the Ben and Woods program, at least for this season. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's our executive producer, imaging director. Morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
Benjamin Higgins is your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. Also, our Secretary of Homeland Exploration. Resident, 3 handicap? 4? 3? 5?
I wish. Back up to like a 5.5.
It's tough seeing.
It's not bad. I mean,
It's terrible.
I'm proud of my golf game, but it's been
that's
better.
terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, fine, whatever.
Just rake them right over the coals. Hope you guys are having a good morning out there. I had a direction I was going to go, and then I decided against it. So I will say, listen.
I never had any input whatsoever on Woods' direction, so I'm just along for the ride here.
There's a devil on one side, and there's an angel on the other. Today, I'm going to go in the name of peace, and I'm going to rub this little angel on my shoulder. Hey, buddy, how are you? It's good to see you. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've seen you. No, we got it all.
Hanging out with your buddy.
Yeah. I've been spending a lot of time with this little guy over here, so that's fine. Oh, we had our meeting yesterday, the big town hall meeting, and I know you guys were all waiting for an update. Ben did make it through the entire meeting.
That's what you think.
Eyes open. Unless you've learned how to sleep with your eyes open.
I did fall asleep once.
No way.
Very, very
Briefly?
Unnoticed by anyone but myself. When
Damn, I was sitting right next to you. I was waiting.
I startled myself up just quickly.
We flanked him.
You were
he
right
was
around
in
me,
the
yeah.
middle. I was like a Ben sandwich, which would be delicious, by the way. Lean. It would be leaner than it used to be. It's a filet sandwich now. It used to be a ribeye, marbled ribeye, and now it is a flank steak,
Yeah,
maybe.
it was full pastrami before.
Yeah. Gabagool,
Yeah.
just little chunks of olive and stuff in it, and all kinds of weird stuff. And so we were sitting there, and it went pretty good. We only ran about 10 minutes behind, which is really not bad for when I saw the agenda pop up on the board, I went, oh my God, we're going to be here all day. We are going to be here all day. And it was great. And we cruised through the meeting.
I had a good time.
I had a good time too. And you know what?
I never have a good time.
I don't either. And I was thinking about it, and radio can be such a dire industry to work in. Sometimes it can feel that way. The bigger picture, there's always a lot of movement. There's people getting laid off. There's just all kinds of stuff. It's not the most comfortable business to be in. That being said, I don't know what is these days. I think about it all the time. Where do I try to steer my children? You know what? Hey, why don't you guys go be this? It's foolproof, right? There are none really anymore. It's different. It's a different time. So we make it through the meeting, feeling pretty confident after. It was great.
There was good and bad in the meeting. I mean, you're glossing over the worst part of the meeting.
What's that?
Well, the last 15 minutes.
Last 15 minutes?
Well, actually, there was 2. The good parts, we got called out positively for great ratings and the YouTube stream and the success that we've had building that, and Paulie doing a great job in putting together our YouTube channel and stream.
Yep.
But Woods, our big boss, Michael.
That's right.
Couple of times.
Oh.
He obviously, and you might remember if you listened early in the morning and to Foreplay, it was probably 2-3 months ago when we got here the day the water. No, it was right at the beginning of the year. Wasn't
Day
it? Yeah.
1 of 2023.
That's right. It was the beginning of the year.
It was the first break, which is the first segment of the very first day. We'd been off for 2 weeks. Came back in the morning, fired up for a new year, 2023. And I walked in the morning early, here ready to just destroy this year. Padres are going to the World Series, the whole thing. Got this big-ass water jug, 64-ouncer that I drink, a couple of these during the show a day. You guys can see it. You can hear it. Like, it's broken now, so this is what you get to hear. It's very loud. And so I go in day 1, go to fill it up because it's empty. I got nothing. I fill it up. The water machine's broken. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? What do I get? Tap water? What do I do? I need water to get through. You got to lubricate your throat. And there's only so many ways you can do that. Water is my favorite. And so we were out of water. So I got on the air. I was like, this is how we're. I basically was just like, this is how we're starting the year. The water machine's down, so I was kind of being a jerk. He was listening. He freaked out, and he called the engineers.
So I put it up there, and I was waiting. I didn't hear anything.
This is it.
So I walk up and I look at it
Thursday.
and go, it's not working. Look behind to make sure it's plugged in. It's plugged in. I'm like, what in the world is going on? No water.
And that got the big boss heard that on his way
Big
into
boss
work,
heard it driving in.
called the engineers immediately.
They were so
And
he
before
was
we even go to commercial break.
he was furious at the engineers, who then in turn were furious at me and gave me the old, "Hey, if you've got a problem, just come to me, and we'll fix it." And I'm like, I'm just doing bits here. Everything is content. What are you talking about?
9 months later, it's still an issue.
Oh yeah, he brought it up in the meeting.
Don't go to anyone else. Go to me if you've got a problem.
This is the all-staff
I will
meeting,
get it
and
fixed.
our boss's boss, like the big boss, says to everyone in the building,
everyone.
"Hey, look, if you guys, I'm here to help you. I want to better serve you. If you don't have any equipment or something that you need,
Like water,
I'm here
woods.
for you. You know, like woods. I don't want to hear about it on the air. Like, just come to
Unbelievable.
me."
Now somebody, so we
9
did
months.
pull
That's
the
not
curtain
forgotten.
back a little bit. You know, they do this. They do company surveys and anonymous surveys. You can write like, "Hey, this is bothering me. I don't like when they do this or that or this," right? And it's completely anonymous, is it? Right? Yeah. Sign your name to this Google form, but we won't look. It'll hide it. You're fine.
Okay.
So he had all the comments up on the board. Somebody told him to stick that ping pong table up his ass, and it was not me. I do not like the ping pong table, but it doesn't affect me one bit. If it were in here, we'd have a problem. I never smoked playing really, but in the comments, somebody wrote to him, "Stick that ping pong table up your ass." It's a quote, and it was not me.
I couldn't believe
I
it.
couldn't believe it. So this was great.
I
looking
thought it
around
was
the
you.
room.
I
It was,
really,
and I said,
thought
I
it
go,
was you.
that wasn't me. That was not me.
No one believes you, though.
I worked in a sales company. They had one right behind my desk, and I'm on the phone trying to make calls and sell, and I'm under the gun and stressed. And I got two morons behind me just all day. Hey, nice shot. And I lost my mind, and I almost got fired for like flipping out. Weird. And so he brings up all these comments and, talking about the culture, and it's gotten so much better.
App first, then get a ping pong table. Once the app is working, then
maybe
you
I
can get a
did.
ping pong table. You can get a dartboard.
Maybe I did rip him,
You
but
can
I
get
did
a
not
card
do that
table, whatever
comment.
you want. I don't care.
Shuffleboard?
Yeah, shuffleboard. Whatever you want. Put a bowling lane in for all I care. Give me water. Give me water. Oh, God, Paulie, the sound of it.
It makes me crazy. It makes me crazy. So we're in there. He's reading all the comments and calls me out, and it was fine. And then, so we're done. The meeting's wrapped up. We're done. It's over. Everyone's about to go into the kitchen and stuff their faces with barbecue.
And if you were listening to our show yesterday, we called it.
We said there will be someone that has to, I have a question, and it'll be some.
It's actually not really a question. It's more like a 10-minute diatribe.
We did. We said, there's always the one guy, and I thought we were going to be off the hook, and the meeting's wrapping up, and everyone's doing the, all right, and doing the arm stretch.
Starting to get up.
You look up. You're like, oh, I smell barbecue come from the kitchen. Now, let's go eat. And then one guy, as you know, I won't call him out by name or station, but gets up and does a 10-minute speech and essentially just reiterates what exactly. It wasn't Adam the reiterator, I will say that. He gets up and reiterates the whole meeting.
put
what
on
the
a
boss just
clinic.
did. It was a clinic.
For reiterating.
Walking around like he was a coach. And I sat there and in my head,
I was not ready to run through a wall.
my mental dialogue was shut up, 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 wrap it 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 up. Let's go. We get it. You're fantastic. So I that set us back about 10 minutes after that, but holy cow, man. I knew it was coming. I braced myself for it, and I still wasn't ready. I still was not ready. See, if you could have stuck something in my ear to translate what I was thinking, it would have been much dirtier than that. But I was like, please shut up, please shut up, please shut up, please shut up.
Squirrely24 in the chat says every office has one. Luckily, ours has been gone for 2 years
So
now.
lucky, dude.
It was actually a good meeting.
It was a really good
really
meeting.
good
And I left there feeling more confident about the company,
gonna
our,
say,
our place in it.
If you'll check your phone, you'll see that we just got a text message from somebody involved in said meeting. So I would just like to say that I was ready to run through a wall after about 94% of the meeting.
I was
the first
too.
94%.
I loved it. I loved it. And I'll tell you what.
like real talk for the big boss of the building.
Yeah.
To stand up there and read
And
some of those
wear it.
comments like
just
that.
like, oh,
and
96
just
to the
taking
ribs.
bullets.
I mean, it was awesome. And that's what you want from your. We've been talking a lot about culture. We've been talking a lot about leadership. And that was one of them. But it was it's the other, like, look at me, look at me. I agree with everything you just said, and I'm going to reiterate it for everyone. I've been doing those meetings now in radio for 14 years. And that was the best one I've ever been in, by far. Doesn't hurt
I agree.
that we're absolutely slaying it, so that always feels pretty good. I've also had to walk out of those meetings with my tail between my legs. I told you about our old GM years ago that would be like, this station, going to make $4 million this year. You guys are unbelievable. All you guys take your pants off right now. And then when I was on 94.9, they'd be like, and 94.9 is here, and you guys have lost $3 million this year and not trending up at all. So keep up the very, very mediocre work.
What do we got? 5 stations here in the
Yeah,
building.
yeah.
Like every one of the station's brand managers, program directors got up and
Yep.
had a chance to highlight what's going on their station. And when Adam was by far the shortest speaker.
It's not his fault. It's not his fault that
length
he's
of time,
short,
not
Paulie. I
height.
wouldn't
Length of
go
time.
after a man's height unless he's
length
in the
of time.
pickup line at school.
He was up there for about 10 seconds. And he just
Adam's
goes,
standing on a step stool in front of the
he
room.
climbed his little ladder.
His little ladder.
And he just said, "Yeah, we're number one.
We're doing great.
Absolutely
Better
dominating."
Woods are kicking ass. I mean, you love that. Anytime you have a meeting like that, it was great. But other than that, I will say, Michael, if you're listening, I thought you did a phenomenal job. And thank you for staying. He would have gotten out on time. We're going to go to break here in a minute, so I'll hold off on this piece of audio. But can we talk about and bring back why we were a few minutes late to the meeting? If you must.
Oh, yes.
I have found my.
It is so good.
For once, it's not me.
It's not you.
I
Woods.
saved everything.
What would you call this? My Achilles heel? I found my Achilles heel.
My man
be,
over here.
Yeah, we'll be
could
talking
not.
disclaimers.
I can't
when
do
we
it.
come back.
Still can't do it.
We got our daily ditty, one-hit wonders. Woodsy, your choice today? Paulie, back to Paulie.
Woods.
Woods' choice today. I'm totally off this week on whose turn it is, but it'll be Woods' choice on the daily ditty, and then he gets to be in the crosshairs for his inability to read a disclaimer in our production after the show yesterday.
You would think this was my first time speaking when you hear this.
And then we have a really smart show today, especially for baseball fans. Not only Sarris with his regular Thursday visit at 8:35, Kyle Boddy from Driveline. They are revolutionizing Major League Baseball in one company up there in the Pacific Northwest. The way they have changed the biomechanics of the game with technology and video and what they do is incredible. We've had him on before. He's doing his thing again, and see, what maybe some thoughts on what he's seen from the Padres a little bit. I'd be curious to know.
I want to ask him, all right, Kyle, you've got the Padres roster in front of you. Give me a couple hitters that you would like to work with, and give me a couple pitchers that you think you could help. And I mean, he's as dialed in as
Somebody
anybody.
whose game that you see on TV or in person, you go, I
You're
know,
right there.
I know what's going on.
I know what to do.
And oh yeah, the Padres are still
Alive.
technically, mathematically alive again today.
There was no record broken last night. We got really close, and we will talk about all of that. Hey, I mean, thanks, because it keeps this train rolling.
Why not?
A little bit longer.
Why not? It's Ben and
Yes.
Woods getting started here on a Thursday, Throwback Thursday. Glad to have everybody with us on San Diego's #1 sports station. Got to see Kelly Danik in the meeting yesterday. Let's check traffic right now on 97.3 The Fan.
98 was a weird time. I had a soul patch. Keep it cranked, Paulie. I had a soul patch. Fuel was out on the radio, and I kind of liked it. Stained and Fuel. And
I love late 90s music.
it was, I have a whole playlist in my phone. I mean, Graham, surprise. It's very.
Give me Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah, I know. It was a weird.
Give me Matchbox 20.
It was a weird little slice.
It's 3 a.m.
It's 3 a.m. I must be lonely. Everybody sang like that.
You all sound like Hootie.
They all sang like that. If you were a rock band,
You and me.
country rock band, they had the here. Remember that? Yeah, like the whole. Yeah. I used to click on the mic when we would play it on 94.9 and go, yeah, on the air. My boss would get mad at me for that. But you have to have fun when you're playing 7 Mary 3 over and over. And that is Fuel, Shimmer. I know they had a big hit with Hemorrhage, too, but I really like Shimmer. That was kind of their one that put them on the map, I think. So that's my daily ditty for the day. Fuel, Shimmer, 1998's finest.
Padres wrap-up coming up at the bottom of the hour. And, of course, we'll get into what seems to now be an every third or fourth day thing, a piece that drops discussing what's going on behind the scenes with the San Diego Padres. The piece du jour is the friction between Bob Melvin and A.J. Preller, which has been downplayed by both of the gentlemen. The particulars, A.J. and Bob both always say, oh, no, yeah, our relationship is fine. Not according to the San Diego Union Tribune. And sources behind the scenes, one of whom called it a civil war between manager and general manager, and a meeting coming up at the end of the season in which they're either going to hash it out or there's going to be some major changes in the Padres organization. We'll get to all of that coming up. First, though, we were talking about the meeting yesterday. The meeting started at 10:15, so we had 15 minutes to cram in all of our production work that we do after the show. So we're trying to get this done really fast. Our promo, commercials, things that we need to record. Paulie's getting it done in a different studio. And Woodsy has a spot to record.
Yeah, a new old sponsor. You guys may remember Lone Pronto. They are back. Excited to work with them again. And they sent over the copy. No problem. Beautiful copy. Makes total sense. Then I get to the end and I go, oh, crap, there's one of those disclaimers. And I said, all right, let me just crank that disclaimer out. And
I've got it here.
We'll throw it on the end.
For what you were supposed to say.
Right.
You were supposed to say, lonepronto.com, 619-207-4336. Legal disclaimer is Equal Housing Lender. NMLS.
Yep.
1661781, subject to lender approval.
Right. The disclaimer at the end. Right. And it's standard in radio.
Like the last 5 seconds, 4 seconds of the spot.
Sometimes
usually sped up.
Sometimes I was just going to say, sometimes you'll hear them speed it up like, and you just have to make sure it gets in there. So I said, no problem. Let me just crank this out real quick. 619-207-4336, lonepronto.com, 619-207-4336, lonepronto.com. Equal housing lender. Oh, God. Equal housing lender and Equal housing lender and NMLS. Equal housing lender, NMLS. What? Oh, I did it. Equal housing lender, Ben was so good at these. Equal housing lender, NMLS.
That's the thing. When you guys used to have this as a duo,
a
tandem spot.
He did.
Ben always did the disclaimer
because I can't say NMLS. Ben was so good at these. Equal housing lender, NMLS. NMLS. Equal housing lender, NMLS. Equal housing lender, NMLS. Ben's losing his mind.
Well, the meeting's about to start.
Yeah.
It's like, we got to get this done.
But then watch this. You go, here, you do it.
Yeah, watch
you
this.
do it.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
First try, knocks it out of the park. How am I going to do these spots?
How are you going to do it when the MLS comes to town in a year and we've got to talk about our San Diego soccer team?
Well, that's easy. That's just MLS.
Oh, it's just the M that trips you up.
NMLS. It's like you rolling your R's. NMLS. Equal housing lender, NMLS. Equal housing lender, NMLS. I hate it. NMLS. Well, welcome back, Lone Pronto. You have hired an absolute professional to do.
They're like, oh crap,
all-
we're really.
I like that little rooster noise you make too at the
Yeah.
end.
Can you? They'll be like, can we just get Ben back to do these, please? What was Boomer's thing? Didn't he sound like a rooster too?
Oh.
Yeah.
One take Jake over here. Just absolutely
I
knocked it out
just
of the
want
park.
to let's get to the meeting. I always wear it because I'm falling asleep and walking in late. Let's try to get to the meeting and somewhat. Today on Real or Fake, is it really a rooster or is it Woods or is it Boomer Esiason?
Stupidest show of all time.
Why does anybody listen to this?
I have no idea.
Oh my god.
Oh.
All right. Let's talk about this article
All right,
after
we'll
this
get,
break.
all right, we'll get into it. Padres finally.
Turkey, not rooster, Hannah said.
Turkey,
All right, turkey, yeah.
turkey. Gobble, gobble, gobble. You get into the first extra inning win of the year. Can I just say the Padres, have they just fixed all their problems?
I'm leaving.
Oh god.
I mean, are they not playing? Is there anything they're doing wrong right now?
You know who else is asking himself the same question right now as he wakes up and starts his day? AJ Preller is asking himself the same. Hey, we're good. Look at us roll right now.
I mean, they
no,
are,
we
though.
haven't fixed all our problems.
But they are.
They aren't.
They're not. They're not.
No,
They're rolling. They're absolutely rolling.
they're playing well, but I wouldn't say we've fixed all of our problems.
Don't know. They finally won an extra inning game. They got the winning streak thing on. I mean, we'll talk about it when we come back. It's
Are
been
you
a Woods.
insane?
I lost his mind again.
I mean, what's left to tackle? What's left on the list?
I don't know. The playoffs?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Woods didn't like my suggestion that the Padres have fixed their problems. We'll get into it here. First, this hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by the Farmer's Dog. Better poops, better poops. Also, fresh human-grade dog food delivered right to your door. More energy, too. When you switch your dog's food to the Farmer's Dog, the effects can feel magical. What sorcery is this? None at all. It's just real food made for the health of dogs. Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/no-magic. All right.
Better poops.
Get into our Padres wrap-up
Better poops.
of you know what? No qualifications. That was a good win last night. People were making fun of Sean Manaea. He's been on fire. Pitched 7 shutout against the Dodgers last time out. He's got like a 2.5 ERA over his last 13 starts.
Good for him.
He's been throwing really well.
great.
Padres battled. Waldron battled. They won in extra innings. They moved runners over when they had to. They got a couple of sacrifice flies. Everything you were looking for. That was a good win by the Padres last night.
hits, clutch hit by, your high-paid superstar in a big moment. Absolutely.
It was a
Absolutely.
bloop, but it fell in,
Yeah.
and they got
Hey,
what they
count.
needed. We will get to our Padres wrap-up right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Lowe's. Well, guys, it's a troubled ride on westbound King Freeway. Now, they cleared that stalled vehicle at the South 15 connector ramp, but up ahead before 30th Street, you're still going to find crash blocking the 2 left lanes. Emergency crews on scene, so just give yourself extra time. That is a rough ride heading into downtown. Also, northbound side of the 5, an accident clearing from the National Avenue off-ramp. Get the appliances you need right away at Lowe's. Explore the largest assortment of brands you trust in-store or online at the best values. Plus, take advantage of our everyday financing offers. Lowe's knows home improvement. Subject to credit approval. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I love winning, man. I love winning. You hear what I'm saying? It's like better than losing.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Seriously, still.
Miss any of yesterday's Padres game?
Did you catch a game last night?
Well, we've got you covered.
Thank you.
It's the Padres Wrap-Up with Ben and Woods.
Go! It's our house right here, baby.
Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else. On 97.3 The Fan.
That is the ball game, and that is a winner.
It's about damn time.
Outfield playing straight away. Infield shaded slightly to pull. Swung on and drift. Deep left field. Going back for it is Soto. He's going to look up. This one is going to be gone. Make it 14 home runs on the season now for Tyro Estrada. That gives the Giants a 1-0 lead here in the second. First and third, nobody out. 2-2 pitch to Xander Bogaerts. Fly ball to center field. Drifting over towards his right is Tyler Fitzgerald. He's going to make the catch. Jose Azocar is going to tag up. He'll score easily. The throw goes to second base. And the Padres tie this ball game 1-1 on the sacrifice fly by Xander Bogaerts. Little blooper to right field. This may fall. Tatis is charging, and it's going to land in front of him. Little broken bat single for Tyler Fitzgerald. That's going to plate Michael Conforto, and the Giants have reclaimed their lead. They're up 2-1. Postseason hope swung on, driven towards left field and deep. Going back for it is Conforto. He looks up. This one is gone. Home run for Garrett Cooper to tie this ball game up 2-2 in the seventh. Not much breathing room right there. 2-0 pitch. Fly ball to right field. Drifting back for it is Yastrzemski. He's underneath it. Grisham, of course, is tagging. Yastrzemski makes the catch. Grisham goes. Here comes the throw home. It's offline, and Grisham is able to score. Padres have a 3-2 lead here in the 10th. Pitch to Manny. Little pop up towards left field. Could be trouble coming in hard as the center fielder. Conforto, he's not going to get there. It's a single. Fernando's going to score. Soto's going to score. A 2-run single for Manny Machado. And the Padres now have a 5-2 lead here in the 10th. Next pitch, ground ball to shortstop. This might do it. Xander waits on it. He's got it. Over to first base, a little low, but Choi is able to dig it out, and that'll do it. Padres walk away with a 5-2 victory, their first extra inning win of the season. And as Tony explained, the playoff hopes are still mathematically alive.
Well, we've needed one. I think more than anything, the reason we did is because we executed today. We had a couple sac flies, we had some big hits. Sully pulls the ball in extra innings, gets the guy over. So that's how you win extra inning games. And, the pitching was really good, starting with Waldron. And, everybody put zeros after that. But I think it was more executing on offense that, allowed us to win this game.
That and a little bit of luck that went your way. Some bad defense by the Giants, bad throw. There was all kinds of things that kind of bounced in your favor last night. But give credit where credit is due. You finally got off the schneid way, way, way too late in the season for that to happen. And, had you been able to get 5 more of those this season somehow, might be sitting here in a different spot. I know baseball doesn't necessarily work that way. But I think had we been able to get some extra inning wins, Ben, I actually think our record would be better now. I mean, I really do. I think that is kind of deflating over the course of a long season. And but it was nice to see one last night. It was so nice to, I had forgotten the feeling of watching your guys execute in a moment where it's like, here's a chance to win the game. Watching the Padres go out and get the job done. It was great. I was on the edge of my seat. And I'm like, why am I on the edge of my seat? They're probably not making the playoffs. Why am I putting myself through this?
I think you said an important word, though, because we've been talking about the Padres have been an unlucky team this year. Undoubtedly true. They've also made some of their own bad luck. But yesterday they got lucky. They didn't. I mean, it could have easily gone the other way. That ground ball by Sullivan that moved the runner over, that was 4 feet over to the left. You probably cut down that runner at 30. It doesn't make it over, but it's 4 feet to the right. The fly ball by Xander Bogaerts that scored Trent Grisham, if it's 5 yards shorter than that, he gets thrown out at the plate rather than scores.
Yep.
It's such a tiny difference. The execution that you're saying, hey, they executed well. Well, they almost executed well in a lot of other situations where they just barely lost in those games. And this time, Manny's bloop, the Giants commit a bunch of errors. You didn't do anything to make the Giants throw the ball away like idiots in the 10th inning.
The Giants do that well enough on their own. Good God. That's what they were showing the graphic of the Giants. And listen, we got Giants fans that listen. Showing their record in July and how well they were playing, I mean, this year has sucked for Padre fans. There's no doubt about it. But this year for the Giants is 2021 for the Padres. I mean, it's the same type deal. And I remember,
100%.
As excruciating as this one has been, that one was it was two different ways of a crap season.
In 2023, the Padres were never the best team in baseball.
No,
for a significant amount of time.
For a day, they were. You're like, who beats these guys? 13-1?
We looked it up the other day. They were 4 games above 500 was the highest they ever got.
The highest they got.
2021, for the first 3.5 months, they were the number 1 team in baseball.
Yeah, man.
And then they just fell off a cliff.
And they just completely fell off a cliff.
2023, we never even got to the cliff.
We didn't even hike up the mountain, dude.
Right.
We were just sitting down in the parking lot looking at it going, I don't know, it looks really, really high. They have not had a 30 home run hitter since Barry Bonds. They said on the broadcast last night, and my brain just went, it just blew. I go, how's that possible?
Brandon Belt never got 30.
I don't think he was.
The park where they play is certainly a factor in it. It's hard to hit home runs there, especially at night.
But it's hard to hit home runs at Petco, too. Yeah. And we've got a couple of 30 home run guys and half. It's just, it's wild. When you talk about roster construction, I could have sworn Jock Peterson did, but I guess not. But yeah, that kind of blew my mind. Barry Bonds, the last 30 home run hitter that the San Francisco Giants have had.
Yeah, Paulie, the Padres never looked like the best team in baseball, except in September, they literally have the best record in all of baseball. They're 17-7 this month. They've won 11 of their last 13 games, and it's hard to argue anything other than they're playing good baseball right now. But
they are.
I mean, it doesn't mean anything likely in the standings. They don't control their destiny. They have not been eliminated. They still need a wild scenario for the last 4 games. They need to go 3-0. They need the Cubs to go 0-4. They need the Marlins to go 0-4, and they need the Reds to go 1-2 or 0-3. And that's the only way the Padres can still get into the playoffs. But it can happen. It probably won't. Today, they don't even play, but there's 2 ways they can be eliminated. If the Marlins beat the Mets, that's a 4-10 start, or the Cubs beat the Braves at 4-20, the Padres will be eliminated on their off day. If they get to Friday, we can talk again tomorrow.
How are you going to get eliminated on your day off?
You got to be a dumb.
So the question is, does this mean anything at all? that they're playing good baseball here at the end of the season.
It means they shows that they have not quit on their manager.
We know. Okay, I think that's a good point. We know that we don't believe in momentum carrying over to next season. Do we believe in lessons being learned that can be carried over to next season? Were there any lessons learned? Or are they just going out and shrugging their shoulders and not understanding why they're playing better this month? Because they didn't understand why they weren't playing better the first 5 months.
No, the act of walking around kind of scratching their heads, all season long when they talk to the media or whoever it was. I mean, we heard that all the time. Like, we don't know. I mean, I got a little bit of insight yesterday did you guys see the Xander Bogaerts pregame with Mike Pomerantz?
I did, yeah.
I missed it. So give me a little.
For a pregame interview, I found it rather telling and rather spicy. And Pomerantz, to his credit, said, you've been on some winning teams. You've got 2 World Series rings, Xander. What does a winning culture mean to you? And Xander,
I'm surprised to get that question.
He stopped and he kind of looked away, and you could tell this was not going to be a cliched answer. He goes, I don't think it's a work ethic thing. He says, I think we work hard. But on a championship team, you have to do the little things right. And we're not doing the little things right. And we really haven't done the little things right all year. We've missed a lot of signs. Things like that, right?
That we don't necessarily even see as fans watching.
And because you have a savvy veteran manager, how hard would it be to be a manager and get up knowing somebody missed a sign in a presser and be like, hey, idiot, why didn't you do this?
Why didn't you bunt in that situation? Well, this is, we
liked our chance. Yeah.
When you were going, bunt, you're giving them the bunt sign and they're not reading it.
You're yanking at your earlobe. So Xander said, we've done a lot of little things wrong, and in order to win, you have to do the little things right. Attention to detail was a phrase that he used. I said, well, that's pretty spicy. And he also said, again, we're reading too much into it probably, but he goes, I mean, you never know what changes may be coming soon. And I'm like, what in the world? And so it was if you can find it, I don't know if it's available, Paulie. It probably isn't. I should have friggin' recorded it and brought it in. It was for a pregame, little throwaway. It was about as juicy as you can get. He talked about the terrible base running that this team had. He goes, we have made a ton of mistakes on the base paths this year. And they have. They have been. That's day one for me. If it's Bob Melvin or anybody else, guess what we're doing? We're running bases today. It is so important in the grand scheme, and the great teams do those things well, and the Padres did not. They really had some massive, massive mistakes on the base paths this year. Stealing when you shouldn't steal, getting picked off. Remember the early rash of pickoffs, and you're just just run yourself out of innings.
Even Ha-Sung Kim, who's beloved by everyone, has made a bunch in the second half of the season.
Kim, Tatis. I mean, on down the line. I mean, it's not a one-person problem, certainly. But all that stuff compounds after a year or after a crap season, certainly. But I thought it was really good. And, I'll say this about Xander Bogaerts. I think he's made some missteps this year. I think he's had some missteps. I think he's said some stuff that maybe he regrets. I'm pretty confident in him being the right guy on this team. I am. I listened to a lot of his conversations. I liked him always. I think the injury slowed him down, but I'm kind of re-engaged and back on board. Not that I have a choice because he's here for a long time, but I do. I like the way he plays the game. I do. He's not perfect. He's definitely not perfect, but I think his head is right. I think he's a guy that can help get the culture back where it needs to be. I do. And I think working in tandem with those guys, and I know you can tell him and Manny are a lot tighter than they used to be. You can tell he's really a lot more comfortable with this team than he was when he got here. So I'm on board for Xander. I do. It's a lot of money. I get it. It was probably...
You don't really have a choice.
It was probably not a smart contract at the end of the day, but he's here, and I think he's going to be a good piece for us. I do.
That lack of attention to the detail, the small things. Is that a managerial thing? Is that a general managerial thing? Is that a player thing? Is that a combination of everyone? I'm not sure.
It sounded when he said
Bob Melvin doesn't strike me as someone who doesn't care about the little things.
Well, I kind of wondered if you would ask that question. And the way that Xander talked about it, he put it all on the players. I mean, he said, we are the ones missing signs. So how's that on the manager, right? He gave us the sign. We missed it. They've done that a lot.
I mean, I can
We've
make,
had
the,
bad
I can make
base
the
running.
argument that, hey, you're the manager. Someone misses a sign. You got to lay down the law, and you got to be a little more stern
Maybe
to
he
make
did.
sure they don't miss another one. Maybe he did.
Maybe he did.
And then, you can't make a guy listen who's not listening.
Correct. And the other thing he said, too, that was interesting, he said, far and away, this is the best defensive team he's ever played on. He said, what we have defensively is magical.
And that was always my argument earlier in the year. How can a team be sloppy and, not into it, your head's
on
not into the
defense,
game.
you're so good.
But on defense, the part of the game that requires the most attention to detail, usually, the positioning, the jumps, the reads, the everything that only really good, nuanced ball players play defense really well. How is it that you're doing this so well and letting other areas of the game slip? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
It does. The only reason it does is because hitting is so incredibly freaking hard.
Yeah.
The guys don't make 3 out of 10 ground
But
balls.
the base running
is
that one kind of
absurd.
is a bit of a mystery.
Yeah,
but then for just the other side of the coin on AJ, the general manager, I don't know how much impact he has on day-to-day attention to detail. I do feel like AJ's philosophy of throwing talent and, overwhelming with talent is not conducive to a team that's going to get there and go, hey, we're going to win with the little things. No, they came with the attitude, we're going to win by mashing your brains in this year.
And we are going to, I got a DM from a guy yesterday I really, really respect, and he knows a lot about baseball. And he said, if you guys were looking for the philosophy of the San Diego Padres and A.J. Preller, and he said, in my opinion, it has been gather and collect as much talent as you can. The rest will figure it out.
Take care of itself.
Take care of itself. And it didn't, and it hasn't.
But then again, AJ, when you say, hey, they don't have the attention to detail, AJ has too much attention to detail sometimes as well. So there's never a simple solution when it comes to the San Diego Padres. There's always, yes, this, but that. Oh, yes, that, but this. And it's been the same all season long. And it's the same in this piece from Kevin Acee about the fractured relationship between Bob Melvin and A.J. Preller. It's horrible, but this, they can't, there's no way they can coexist unless they can. There's two sides to all these coins when it comes to the San Diego Padres, and we'll get more into the piece that Kevin Acee wrote that came out yesterday, and the meeting, apparently, that is being planned for the day after the season ends that will determine the future of both of those gentlemen, at least as it comes to their relationship with the San Diego Padres. All guests on Ben and Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Fan Hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. We'll also play a little real or fake. Chance to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas with no musical trivia knowledge required. Coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan. curious to see what Woods' takeaway was on Kevin Acey's latest piece in the UT about the fracture between Bob Melvin and A.J. Preller. I mean, of all the things that I read, Woods, it's Ben and Woods here, 7 o'clock on 97.3 The Fan.
You got it.
I think the fact that Peter Seidler, who we haven't heard from, obviously he's recovering, and we wish him the very best. But the quote, or not quote, but the line, Seidler has expressed in recent days that he wants both men to remain in 2024. That the ideal outcome here for the owner of the Padres is to keep both A.J. Preller and Bob Melvin in their current positions. But is that tenable? And they're going to determine whether or not they think it is within the first, 24 to 48 hours after the season is over.
My thoughts on it are this. I remembered and saw someone tweet out yesterday Peter Seidler's comments after the 2021 season when they did the info gathering of what went wrong. And here was his conclusion. You ready? We let molehills become mountains. Without a doubt, we'll correct that going forward. If there's a problem, we'll address it and kill it then. We let issues become bigger. He also said we're going to work deliberately to make sure what happened this year never happens in this organization again. So that, to me, is fairly damning, and not on Peter Seidler. It's not. That's not a shot at Peter. I think genuinely, after that season, they probably did get in and hash it out, and then they decided, let's go hire an experienced veteran master communicator manager. Let's do that. So they did it.
Someone who is not going to let molehills become mountains.
Correct. So then, in the piece on Kevin Acey, the other thing that jumped out at me was this little stanza. Members of the front office have expressed frustration at what they perceive as Melvin often balking at their input. This pushback has only increased as the tensions between Melvin and Preller have escalated. Melvin, for 10 plus seasons, managed the A's, one of Major League Baseball's most analytics-driven organization, and was able to coexist with a stringent front office. The difference here, people familiar with the back and forth, could largely be in the type of information Melvin receives. That's also damning. Now, that's not an isolated idea. We have heard from Juan Soto early in the year when he was dying. Had no idea how to hit a baseball again. He was drowning, and he's like, I need help, and no one's helping me, and I don't have the information I need. We also saw, to be fair, heard Nelly Cruz say, no, the information's good. We're just not utilizing it right now. So I know I'm supposed to have a really firm take here. I will say this, man. There's one constant in all of these years. It's not Bob. It's not Juan Soto. It's not Nelly Cruz. It's A.J. Preller. That's been the constant here. So for any, whether it's his fault or not, for any tumultuous behaviors, for any molehills that become mountains, there's been one person there to oversee all of it. And so that, to me, was pretty interesting stuff in the article from Kevin Acey.
I'm looking for the quote from the earlier piece, but Joe Musgrove essentially said, we let molehills become mountains.
Yeah, he pretty much said the same thing.
We didn't address things as soon as we needed to address them. So in that sense, Woods, you're absolutely right. It's an indictment, and you didn't throw Peter under the bus. And I don't know how much an owner really can do other than, trust the people that he's hired. But he said in 2021, we're not going to let that happen again. Yeah. And essentially, they let that happen again this year.
Here's what Musgrove said. You look at last year, we were one step away from being in the World Series. Not a whole lot's changed this year. Obviously, there were things that went on in the clubhouse this year that we didn't do a very good job of addressing and handling. I think if we addressed some of those things sooner instead of kind of letting them fester, some of that stuff might have worked itself out. By no means is it a dysfunctional organization.
That is the non-cliche way of saying we let molehills turn into mountains.
It is a really tough thing to do. We're all married men. It happens. You get in arguments with your wife. sometimes you look at each other and go, just forget it and let's just move on. And if you can really, truly let it go and not bring it back, 6 months later, remember when like.
If you're addressing every tiny thing every time it comes up, that's not going to work either.
It's not going to work either. It's not. So it's the line of knowing when and where and how to communicate. And it just sounded like, look, losing breeds a lot of contempt. Missing signs and bad base running, not paying attention to detail, really believing in, believing in the numbers evening out. That was our detriment this year. I did tweet last night, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but not really. Not really. I'm going to try next season to not say it's still early. Don't worry about it. It's still early. Because as we've seen now...
I'd also like Manny Machado to try that next season as well.
Yeah, honestly...
Give us about a week. I'll give us the first week of the season.
The sense... you get 7 games, and then...
Doesn't mean you hit the panic button.
No. It's not panic. And Jesse said last night...
But those games matter.
Jesse, because I would get a couple years ago, I would get a little upset about the early inning losses, and Jesse would come on Tuesday, and he'd call me down, and he would say, it's a marathon, not a sprint. That still remains true. It absolutely does.
But when you look at where the Padres are at right now,
it's brutal.
What's our list of excruciating losses?
25
at least 25.
Yeah.
Losses that 95% of the time should have been wins. Had the lead late in the game, whatever.
Blew it. Yeah.
25 of them at least?
Yeah.
You're telling me, a bunch of those happened in April. They happened in May. They happened in June when we were all still saying, hey, it's still early. It's still early. There's still half a season left. If you had 4 of those 25 games that you lost, if you had 4 wins, probably in the playoffs.
It's early. When I say it's early, I mean there's still time to fix it, right? But fix it. Don't let it become a mountain, right? Don't let it become a mountain. And whatever it is between these two guys, Ben, I don't know that that's the best working situation, and based on this article, it's not. It doesn't sound like it doesn't sound really. When you hear civil war, does that sound fixable?
Sound great.
But when you started this topic about Peter wanting both Bob and AJ to return, to me that screams, hey, we're just gonna try again next year. We're going to just run it all back next year. Like, there would have to be, not only would they, behind closed doors, have to obviously address a lot of issues here, they're going to have to go public with something. Like, they're going to have to make me as a fan and us as fans believe that something has changed.
Let's do it here.
They play like, if they play like they do this month,
fan.
I'm okay if they run it back. They got to play like they did this month.
Let's bring them in.
Yeah.
Broker some peace.
Friday.
Hey,
AJ,
morning, AJ
and Bob, just sit them right down.
Each give them a mic.
Felt great.
Oh, good.
Real or fake is coming up. 833-288-0973. And I want to make sure this doesn't sound unfair, because I like AJ Preller. We've known him for many years. We don't have to work for him. I think that helps the fact that, we've gotten along pretty well with the Padres general manager. We've also gotten along well with Bob Melvin. But I think it's pretty apparent to anyone who has followed the Padres, Bob Melvin is a more normal relator to people than AJ Preller. AJ Preller is an unusual, dynamic dude, but he can rub the wrong way. He marches to the beat of his own drum. Even among general managers, he's always viewed as a little bit of an outlier, a wildcat, someone who's a little bit different. So if you're looking to place a little more blame for friction in a relationship, I've got to start with AJ as opposed to Bob, the guy who got along with Billy Beane and the A's front office for so many years, the guy who has been, universally regarded as a great communicator. This feels like something that AJ needs to address more than Bob does if they're sticking around. Can he do that is the question. And I guess they'll make that determination in the coming days here.
Yeah, it does feel that the Padres organization, and it has been for a while, is very cliquey. It's very cliquey. It's we heard rumors of when Tingler was here, it was this camp and that camp and this camp and that camp, and that's I think that's normal in a clubhouse. Like, we're a clique here. We don't really hang with other people. That being said, we're all here for the greater good, and the goal is to win and all that. I don't even know that that's the case. Really, like I can see this group railing on this. Can't you see in your mind the Anchorman scene of Preller's crew and Melvin and his coaches in an alley somewhere? And you can totally see them like commiserating about the other and being like, these guys don't know what they're talking about. And then, this side's going, this old dinosaur has no idea, blah, 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 won't even take the info he's given. I mean, the craziest thing is the part in AC's article when he says, hey, man, if you need any evidence, remember where Bob Melvin came from. Just as stringent and analytics driven as anywhere. They made a movie about it. They wrote a book about it. What's the difference? What's the difference? The A's have you're telling me the Oakland freaking A's have better information and better technology and whatnot than the San Diego Padres? Their payroll was $49 this year, and they have better information. They provide more to Mark Kotsay for him to win a game than Bob Melvin gets in San Diego, California. I don't understand that. I don't understand it. And if you're bullish on your methods, they're not working. We're not in the playoffs with a $250 million payroll.
All right, let's get to today's game. It is time to play Throwback Thursdays, Real or Fake.
Some are here for the compelling sports talk with Ben and Woods. Yeah, you can go plow through another donut. It's time for Real or Fake on 97.3 The Fan. Tell the people what they'll win today.
First, I'll tell you Real or Fake is brought to you by Home Turf. Save time and water with pet-friendly, always green grass, and get a free consultation by calling the team at Home Turf at 888-4SD-TURF or go to sdhometurf.com. You won't know if it's real or fake. We got Sean on the line ready to play today. Good morning, Sean.
Morning, guys. How you doing?
Good. Let's get you qualified for the grand prize trip to Las Vegas. That's 2 nights at the Westgate, private VIP pod at the Westgate Superbook, $250 food and beverage credit. They have renovated $70 million worth of room renovations at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Legendary Vegas fun. Now, Woods did not direct me this week like he has the last couple of weeks, so blame me if you don't like the category. But you do get to use Woods to help you try to get 4 out of these 7 correct on Real or Fake, Sean. All right, does anyone actually watch those Hallmark Channel original movies?
My wife does.
No.
People must, otherwise they wouldn't keep making them. Some are even sports-themed. Today on Real or Fake, I have a list of sports-themed Hallmark original movies. You simply have to tell me which ones are real and which ones are fake, Sean. You ready to play?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Round number 1. And you can ask Woods for help as well. 4th Down and Love. Real or fake, Sean? 4th Down and Love.
I'm going to go fake.
That one's real.
4th
Down and Love. Came out,
Like
I think,
fourth
last
and
year.
long.
4th Down and Love.
I see what they did there.
Yeah. All right, we've got 6 left. You need 4 out of that 6. Round number 2. Love on the Links. Real or fake, Sean?
What do you think, Woodsy?
I think that's fake. He had a little gleam in his eye.
The poker.
All right, we'll go fake.
Poker man over there
did.
reading my tells.
Yes.
That's fake.
He
Yeah.
got love on the. It's his fantasy.
All right,
he
here we
wants
go.
to make love on a golf
Round
course.
number 3. 3-point shot at love. Real or fake, Sean?
What?
3-point shot at love.
Fake.
That's fake.
Fake again.
Yes.
Very good.
Good job, buddy.
All right, round number 4. Love throws a curveball. Real or fake Hallmark Channel original movie?
Real.
That one's fake. It's all right. You're still two out of 4. We're still good. We got 3 rounds left. All right, here we go. Round number 5. Love on the backstretch. Real or fake?
Fake.
That is fake. Very
Is that
good.
like
the horse racing.
Oh,
would have
okay.
been a love horse racing.
NASCAR
movie. It could
as
have been
well.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All you need is 1 more right, and you are good to go. Real or fake? Game, set, love. Real or fake?
Fake.
No, that one's real. It's a tennis. That's a
real.
tennis-themed love movie. All right, it always comes down to round 7, and yet it does again, Sean. For all the marbles and qualifying for the grand prize trip to Las Vegas, Hallmark Channel original movie, real or fake? Season for Love. Real or fake, Sean?
Real.
Yeah. Real.
Yes! Nicely done.
Game
Nicely done. Hang on the line, Sean Paul. Get your information during the commercial break, and we'll put you into that drawing here in a couple of days for the trip to Las Vegas. I don't think I've ever sat through one of those movies.
I think I've watched.
Hannah does.
Yeah, I think she watches them. They're on the Lifetime movies at
Yeah.
Christmas. Yeah, I mean, usually
they
at
have
Christmas.
There's a whole nother list. They do like a dozen Christmas
Yeah.
original movies, and then throughout the year they sprinkle in different ones, sports themed, all kinds of.
You'll see some like old stars that you like. You know, a lot of the cast of 90210 does those now. I mean, you got to work. You know, I'm not hating on it at
So
all.
the real ones again were Fourth Down in Love.
Yeah.
I got to look this.
Game, Set, Love,
and
Season for Love.
Fourth Down
and Love. Yeah, you want to look at the cast and the
I'm
plot
gonna do it right now.
synopsis.
Fourth
of
Down in Love.
Fourth
you guys.
Down in Love.
Ryan Pavey, I've never heard of him. Dan Payne, Sophia Powers, Darlene Tate. Fourth Down in Love follows a single mother and a pro football player as they meet again on her daughter's flag football field after his career is interrupted by an injury. 3 stars, 6.5 out of 10. It's not bad. That's not a bad premise.
Yeah.
It's not a bad premise.
All right, how about Game
Set Love? Yeah.
Former tennis pro Taylor reluctantly agrees to coach her friend and bad boy Will for a mixed doubles tournament, only to find there's a lot more to him than she thought.
Ooh, not really a bad boy. He's a bad boy with a good heart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can fix
Heart
it.
of Gold.
Yeah, Heart of Gold.
Season for Love.
Season for Love.
Season for
that
Love.
one might not even be a sports one. That might just be fall themed.
It's amazing.
After her divorce, a woman returns to her hometown to spend the summer with her mother and daughter. At her daughter's urging, she signs up for the town's annual barbecue competition where
Barbecue.
she runs into her high school sweetheart.
That's a barbecue theme movie, actually, but it fit in. Hey, you know what? Sean won it, so congratulations. All right, we got Don't Do This coming up next. Is this where we talk about Josh Hader, or are we saving that for later?
I think we'll save that for later. I would like to put on blast the Cleveland Guardian fan that did something atrocious. Atrocious.
Right. Sounds good. We'll get to that coming up next with Ben and Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. If you want to stay connected with Ben and Woods all week long, just give us a follow in the Odyssey app for easy access to clips, show reminders, and more. Simply download the Odyssey app, follow Ben and Woods, and listen to us no matter where you are. All right, I'll get us started today on Don't Do This. And this one was just kind of a head-scratcher. Big game last night between the Houston Astros and Seattle Mariners. Almost like a must-win for both teams. Houston, I think, started the day with a half-game lead over Seattle for the third wild card spot in the American League, and Houston ended up winning the game. So now they have a game-and-a-half cushion going into that last weekend of the season. But during the game, big at-bat between Astros reliever Hector Neris and Julio Rodriguez, star for the Mariners in the sixth inning. Neris ends up striking out Rodriguez, and then almost kind of loses his mind. It was like without the Roger Clemens, Mike Piazza, the bat, without a bat in his hand, but just started like yelling at Julio Rodriguez and like walking toward him as though he was going to start some sort of fight. It was a weird reaction.
Rodriguez was walking away with his head down. He was bummed.
Yeah,
he struck out in a big moment.
But there wasn't anything that precipitated it.
Well, there was.
Was there? Okay.
Yeah, it's been a thing.
Rodriguez didn't think so.
Well, there's been a thing between these teams. Do you remember when Chas McCormick was running down to first base? I think it was Ty France at first. And he swiped at his hand to try to knock the ball out and kind of hurt France, and it's just a Bush League play. Next time he came up in the next game or whatever, he wore 99 to the back. These two teams legit hate each other. Then Julio that night hit a bomb and was chirping the dugout. So
now, a lot of teams hate the Astros.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Astros don't care.
Remember this now.
They do not care at all.
I had forgotten about that incident.
That's the thing.
For Neris' part, he said, it's just part of the game, emotional like the situation today, but it's nothing personal. I'm only trying to wake up my team.
Yeah, he did a good job because they came out and scored 3 runs the next inning.
Benches kind of cleared, and then they got back, and the Astros put it away, and now they're in a good position going into this final weekend of the season. Rangers also in good shape on the verge of clinching the AL West now after they won again yesterday over the Angels.
Yeah, pretty nuts. Like I was watching the Twitter. Somebody obviously tweeted it out immediately, and I went, "Oh God, I've never seen that before." The guy went right after him, and then waited for his buddies to
come get me.
Jump in the mix.
Don't stop me. Don't stop me. Come get me.
Man, this story made me so sad. I am a big Tito Francona fan. I always have been. Even when he was the Red Sox manager, loved him. I just have always thought, what a great when you think of baseball man, I've always thought of Tito Francona. I know our beloved Don Orsillo and Tito are very tight as well. He was tweeting some highlights out yesterday that were phenomenal of their relationship. So Tito, this is going to be his last season in Cleveland. He has
had some health issues.
Got some health issues. He's so great, man. He said like it's the worst kept secret in baseball. I don't want it to be about me at all. I want it to be about our players and our guys. He just gets it, dude. So he's been riding to the ballpark on a little scooter, you guys, for the last few seasons. Like a moped, not quite a bird scooter, but like a moped. Well, it was stolen once. They got it back. And then it was stolen again. And it was dismantled. They stripped it. And he said, quote, "The hog has been officially put on ice. It got stolen again, but this time they stripped it. Been in mourning. They got it in the clubhouse under a blanket. Looks like they took a baseball bat to it. They also pooped on it. Whoever stole his scooter and ripped it apart. They also they went number 2 on it.
Monster.
Did you hear me? They went number 2 on it.
Number two.
Instead of just like, hey, let's steal this scooter. Not only am I going to steal this scooter and strip it and dismantle it, I'm going to poop on it. And they did.
Are they mad at like the Guardians' record this season?
Maybe.
Like
I mean, that's like your guy's leaving and he's hanging him up after all these years in baseball. And not only do you steal the man's scooter, you go doo-doo on it. And I think that is just insult to injury, and it made me very sad.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Cleveland will step up and get him a new scooter, but it did make me very sad.
It was a really nice moment of the game, though, when they gave him the standing ovation, and the players blocked him from getting back into the dugout so the ovation could continue longer. That was a pretty sweet moment for Terry Francona. All right, finally, a little do this, maybe mixed with some don't.
mega do-do.
Yeah, a little of both.
First of all, a do this, and a thank you again to the Atlanta Braves, who prevented the Padres from being eliminated by coming from behind for the second straight day against the Chicago Cubs.
The Cubs.
Once again missed on a golden platter a chance to eliminate the Padres at least and maintain their lead in the wild card race, but instead they blow a 3-1 lead.
Did you see the errors?
They commit, yes. They have several errors. They gave up runs in the 7th, 8th, 9th, and then 2 in the 10th.
Oh, my God.
To lose it to the Braves 6-5. And in that 10th inning, Ronald Acuna Jr. drove in the tying run after the Cubs had scored in the top of the 10th. Then he's standing on first base, sitting on 69 steals for the year, ready to make some history.
And we're really stopping the game.
Oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry.
Try it again.
Ronald goes. There it is. He did it. A 40-70 season, and a season unlike any other in Major League Baseball history for Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yeah, he didn't join the 40-70 club. He created the 40-70 club. Never done before in the history of baseball. 40 home runs, 70 steals. He then came around and scored on an Ozzie Albies single, the winning run, to give the Braves another win and clinch home field advantage in the playoffs with that win as well. But the possible don't do this with all those do this moments comes to the Cubs broadcast team. One of our good friends, Boog Shambi.
I love Boog.
On the call. And I sort of understand this. I mean, the Cubs are in the torture chamber right now. They're trying to fight for a playoff spot. And when Acuna steals second, they pause the game for a few moments, maybe a few more than a few moments to recognize the accomplishment. Acuna to take the base out as a souvenir. Here's the one like Ricky Henderson did when he stole his record-setting base. And the Cubs broadcast team was getting a little tired of it.
And we're really stopping the game.
Can we get the base after the game? This is pretty absurd. It's just a hell of an accomplishment.
Totally, but you can't stop the game and run a highlight montage.
Yes, you can.
Well, and
this is MLB history. It has never happened before, and it's in Atlanta.
Yeah, I've got a mixed feeling on this.
It's in Atlanta. What did you expect?
I'm sure you plan something. You don't know when it's going to come, though.
Right.
I mean, if he did it in the first inning, like he singles and steals second, and the game has just started, and they stop it for a highlight montage and to give him a nice standing ovation, no one cares. But the fact that it's a tie game in
Bottom
the 10th
10.
inning with 2 outs, and, the Cubs season is hanging in the balance, not the best moment for the Cubs to just go ahead and
one-run leads in the 8th and 9th innings.
Sit cold for 5 minutes while they honor Ronald Acuna Jr.
Can I just say, in all fairness, if it were Tatis that was doing that and the other broadcast team took exception, I would absolutely fillet them. If it was Mookie Betts doing it against us, I would absolutely fillet Mookie Betts. I'm a hypocrite. I'll wear it.
Okay, but we like Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. Robert Stock made a good point, former Padre pitcher. Says managers go out to argue with umpires in important situations all the time. Pausing the game for much longer than this. A 40-70 season is absolutely bonkers and needs to be celebrated.
They stop the game when the guy gets his 3,000th career hit.
Sure, yeah.
That's happened before.
It reminded me of when I was a kid, and Pete Rose got his 4,192nd hit, passing Ty Cobb to become the all-time hits leader off of the Padres and Eric Shao. And, of course, they stopped the game down in Cincinnati when it happened. But Shao, who was just getting, he just got warmed up. It was, I think it was early in the game. He kind of just sat on the mound when it plopped down, and he was criticized roundly in Major League Baseball for being disrespectful for the big moment, and it was something that kind of dogged him the rest of his career, and was something he could never really shake after that moment.
Excuse me.
And that's
yeah, that's don't
do this. Yeah. And I'm sorry that we've interrupted your nap.
Oh, man.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we'll come back. We've got some great guests coming up in the second half of the show. You definitely do not want to miss Sarris and Kyle Boddy, who are going to be around with us. I do want to get into Josh Hader's thoughts on Instagram yesterday as well. We just got to keep track of all these Padres issues and controversies
just
that
never
we've been
stops.
discussing these last couple of weeks. As we discuss the new one, we got to follow up on the old one.
Yeah.
give you the latest on Josh Hader's thoughts of not being used in that 2-1 game earlier this week. It's coming up next with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Yeah. Sorry.
We got a behind-the-scenes conversation going on. You can probably open it up to everyone else a little bit about the Padres' managerial future. There's a piece just dropped in The Athletic from Tim Kawakami, Bay Area columnist and writer, who said, I think the perfect Giants manager for next season and beyond would be Bob Melvin. They're just waiting for the Padres to, make the mistake of letting Bob go, so maybe they can swoop in and replace Gabe Kapler.
Bruce Bochy, the return.
With Bob Melvin. Oh, can you imagine?
Can you imagine?
If the Giants go on
You don't
to
have
World
to,
Series
'cause it
success,
happened.
yeah, we know exactly what it feels like. And Paul brought up, we were just talking about Tito Francona retiring.
That was you stole my credit.
You thought
my
the
idea.
Guardians would be the
Yes.
perfect solution as well for Bob Melvin?
Thanks, Ben.
Get no credit.
You're welcome, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, Tito is leaving. They're looking for a new manager. There will be a vacancy there in Cleveland. I mean, like I said, he's going to have a job within 24
They're
hours.
a fairly analytically driven organization like the A's were, but have had a history of success as well. They're a team that expects to compete every year, so that would be appealing. Like we've said many times.
Pretty weak division.
If
you
the
feel
Padres,
like it's winnable.
If the Padres do let Bob Melvin go, he should have no shortage of job offers in the next 24 to 48 hours. After he
even
leaves.
managers that are under contract would be sweating.
Yeah, I would say a little bit. You're like, you got 1 year left on your deal. We'll pay you out because we have a chance to get Bob Melvin.
But to be fair, if the Padres let A.J. Preller go, I'm sure he would have any scouting job he wanted in
the
baseball,
world.
but I doubt that, president of baseball operations would be there for the taking in a bunch of organizations right now, given the track record with the Padres.
Yep.
So keep that in mind when you pick your sides and what's going on here. AJ is not in the position. He's always been in a pretty good spot with the faith of the ownership and the excitement that he's created in this town. He's been on pretty solid footing for many years. But right now, I think he needs to take his next steps very carefully because the ground is a little shakier now after this season.
Isn't that so telling? We've made that point before, but isn't that so telling that we all agree? We don't even hesitate when we say that Bob Melvin would get a job within 24 hours.
If he wanted it.
If he wanted it. And we are not so sure that the same exists for
Correct.
AJ Preller. That's pretty telling to me that
Sure.
Yeah.
letting Bob go would be the wrong move here.
I mean, I'm bracing myself for all of it. I'm bracing myself for it. I expect to be disappointed. I do. I expect to be disappointed.
So in all likelihood, season ends on Monday. We talked about Kevin Acey's article in the UT. Big meeting planned for Monday within 24 hours, they said.
It's weird. I don't know that you
Think
can.
they'll let us live stream it on our YouTube
Maybe,
channel?
yeah. I'm sure they would love that with our unfettered access.
We'll make it a private, one of our YouTube Gold streams.
I do find it interesting that after this season and this relationship and everything that's gone wrong, you're going to knock this out in an afternoon, like a town hall meeting. Like you're going to do it on Monday. You're going to come. I'm sure that there's already been a lot of high level conversations. I'm sure that there are decisions that are 75% made right now. But you want to get it from the horse's mouth. You want to hear directly from Bob, from AJ. I don't know that they'll be in there together. I can't imagine that would be great. But hey, you never know. I don't know how they're planning on handling this thing. But I do know there's no path forward, in my opinion. Based on just what I've heard and what I've read, there's very little path forward with these two guys unless they both agree to really change. Like, okay.
And by both, I think we're mostly meaning AJ.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and there was talk in that article too about maybe reining him in a little bit. I have no idea that it's true or not. Have no clue. None.
Well, and like we just said, with the knowledge that Bob is probably going to get a job offer, does he have to change as much? He can say, I mean, if you don't like the way I do things, then I will go and I will manage somewhere else.
Yeah.
But if you like the way I do things, then I'd like to work a little bit differently with the GM. If you want to keep him around, then this is I would like the relationship to change. I can see that playing out in this meeting that's coming up. Correct.
Man, what I wouldn't do. What I wouldn't pay.
Fly on the wall?
Fly on the wall. No, just Woods in the room. You don't
Sitting
need to be a fly. I just want to sit in a chair.
A conference table at Petco Park. Bob Melvin. It's AJ Preller.
Eric
Grupner. It just said members of Seidler Equities.
Mm-hmm.
No idea. And I imagine Peter's at least
the Zoom maybe
made his wishes clear,
or like conference call or something. Yeah,
I just do it at Grand Ole Barbecue or something on one of those picnic tables.
That'd be good. That'd be a good place to do it.
Yeah.
I also wonder, going back to AC's article, like Ben highlighted, like the second paragraph was talking about how Peter Seidler's wishes, according to Kevin AC, are that both men stay. So isn't that it? Isn't that kind of all said and done then?
That kind of feels,
like,
but again,
as hands-on with the team as Peter is, if what Peter wants, Peter gets.
But the danger here is, I'm sure everyone wants to please Peter. Guess what? Just like we all kind of like Peter, they like Peter too.
Mm-hmm.
He pays their checks. He's a good guy. They want to please Peter. Are they going to do a lot of nodding in that meeting? Like, yeah. Oh,
sure,
yeah. No, I can change. Sure,
sure.
Absolutely, Peter. Whatever you say, Peter. Yeah, we'll better communication. This won't happen again. And then, they leave the meeting and go, okay, let's go back to what we were doing.
I mean,
is that not a danger?
Isn't that the reports from the Padres clubhouse this year that all the players did the same thing? Like, we need to do this and this and this, and then you go right back to doing it your way. So
it's not about hashing it out in a meeting. It's about the follow through after the meeting that's been the problem.
Doing the work to change is massively hard. As someone who's in it, it's massively.
What are you trying to change?
A lot. That's why I spend.
I know you do your therapy.
Yeah. It's hard work. Like, it's real work. It's not building a fence in the backyard work, but it is absolutely excruciating work sometimes to go in there, bare your soul, and then have to apply it.
Take that deep, long look in the mirror.
Yeah, and then to go home and actually apply it or apply it in other places in my life. It's excruciating work. It's not. There are people that go to therapy and try to, they go, yeah. No, I will. And then you walk out and do the same thing. I've tricked many therapists over the years. When you actually have to do it and you're actually trying, it's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. You're biting your tongue. You're doing things that you've never done, that you're not comfortable with doing. And over the course of when things go a little awry, you do fall back into the things that you're trying to change. It's just human nature. So if it's truly been an oil and water situation, you can stir that all day. And you can stir it and stir it and stir it. It's never going to mix. Never. It will never, ever mix. So, in my opinion, I think that is a real risk. The neck effing of Peter Seidler. Yeah, okay, yep, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I will. Bob wants to keep his job. AJ wants to keep his job. Who wants to leave this place? Who wants to leave San Diego, the San Diego Padres, and this great fan base and this great ballpark and this beautiful city where it's sunny all the time? Who wants to do that to go to Cleveland? Nobody. Nobody wants that. So, of course, they're going to tell him what he wants to hear. That's human nature, too. Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I will. Yeah. Sure. And then, you go back after 2 months and start doing things.
Maybe you think you're going to change.
You actually can
have to
fool
put in
yourself.
The work to change. That's a good point.
You can fool yourself into saying, all right, I will. I'm going to be better. I'm going to be different. And then you lose 5 in a row, and AJ's knocking on your door, and you're Bob. You don't want to answer the door. It's tough, man. It's a tough business, and it just goes to show you just how difficult it is to actually win in this league. I mean, it is just, you need so much to go your way.
This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Ashley Furniture. Fall is here, and at Ashley, seasonal decorating is a breeze. Snuggle up on a sectional or ultra-modern sofa or gather outside with a new fire pit. Ashley has everything you'll need. Shop in-store or visit ashley.com today. We've finally gotten down to the Josh Hader usage controversy and who is really to blame. And it is us.
Yeah.
We will let you know why after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Lowe's. Got a collision involving a motorcycle northbound 125 right before the 8's. Got the fast lane blocked. And this person's day's off to a rough start. Northbound 5 before Civic Center got a stalled car in middle lanes. Lowe's knows fall is the perfect time for outdoor projects. Right now, you can keep your yard looking its best and save. Take care of leaves with leaf blowers, starting at just $89.98. Lowe's knows home improvement while supplies last. See store for details. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, so we're referring in this discussion to a now deleted reply on an Instagram post.
Has it been deleted?
Oh, it was a reply?
It was a reply.
I thought you said it was on his story.
No, it's not on his story. It was a reply to a comment about what happened earlier this week, the last time the Padres lost a game when, the Giants, I think it was Monday night, the Giants had the bases loaded, the 8th inning, 2 outs, Conforto lefty at the plate. Suarez had already gotten 3 outs, but where's Josh Hader? Why can't he come in and get a 4-out save?
Get Conforto,
Why can't he come in early? And Bob Melvin had his somewhat curt post-game press conference, not wanting to throw Josh Hader on the bus, but clearly having no logical explanation as to why he couldn't have gone to his closer, other than closer doesn't like to pitch outside the 9th inning. He does his 3 outs. That's what he does. He was overused in Milwaukee. Now he's got strict rules as to when he goes in. And then Hader pretty much confirmed all of it when he said to reporters after the game, hey, what, you want me to do everything here? I mean, we're not. Are we in a playoff race? He had those comments that we read to you on Tuesday morning on the show.
Yeah, so he says he was responding to somebody named Ryan. Ryan said, but can't go 4 outs. I don't know what he was responding to. And then Josh Hader on Instagram said, y'all love a narrative. Phone to the bullpen never rung in that situation. Didn't know I had to make the call to the dugout to put myself in. This is my favorite part. Gotta love the media. It's my fault. It's your fault, Ben. It's everyone's
It's
fault.
a funny line. Like, hey,
gotta love the media.
Am I supposed to pick up the phone in the bullpen?
I'm ready.
Hey, don't you want to get me up right now, Skip? I think this would be a great spot to use me. Of course, it doesn't work that way. And
Can't wait for the next time my wife
I
goes,
don't-
hey, idiot, I asked for red onions, not yellow onions. I was, gotta love the media.
Gotta love the media, man. I'm going to start using it for everything.
Everything.
I don't believe anyone, I certainly know we didn't, and I didn't see anyone else try to imply that Bob Melvin picked up that bullpen phone or had Matt Williams pick up that bullpen phone. And they said,
Hader,
get Hader up. And Hader goes,
nope.
No. It's the 8th inning. I don't think anyone thought that that's how it went down or reported that that's how it went down.
No one ever said that.
What was reported and seems to be completely accurate based on Josh Hader's statements is that he has made it very well known that that's not what he does. So don't bother calling in the bullpen in a situation like that. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to be stretched to 4 outs. So Bob Melvin didn't call on the guy that he knows as well as the rest of us, fans, media, whoever, the best chance to get a big out in that situation with a lefty at the plate is the best lefty reliever in the game and one of the best that we've seen in decades in Major League Baseball. Probably not a wearying Robert Suarez who came in the 7th inning and his pitch count is starting to climb. But they didn't feel like that was an option. That's how, what did Bob say? That's how we're doing things, right?
Yeah, that's how we were handling it.
That's how we're handling it.
There was a part of an article, too, I believe it was from The Athletic, that said, before the Padres wild card series in New York, Melvin, pitching coach Ruben Niebla, and Hader all sat down and talked about the possibility of deploying the closer for 4 outs. They knew, given his usage patterns over the last 2 years, they would have to exercise caution. We're talking about the playoffs here, guys. Playoffs. They sketched out the parameters and waited for the right situation to unfold.
You kidding me? Playoffs?
So if you have to sit down with your closer in the playoffs and say, hey, we may need to use you a little bit extra, I don't know that that's the right, maybe it's not the right guy or the right mentality. And that's not a personal shot at Josh Hader. I like Josh Hader. I think he's, like I said yesterday, the day before, he's done a lot of good in this community. I think he's pitched really, really well when called upon. Yeah. He pitched really well last night.
Well, speaking of playoffs, I mean, I don't think we've talked about it yet, but I know a lot of people in town are saying, drawing their own conclusion that that's why we didn't see Hader in the 8th inning against Bryce Harper last year.
You know, I can't imagine that that's true.
I really can't either.
I can't wrap my head around it. I'm a Bob Melvin stan, so that would help bolster my case.
I was listening to the coach the other day, and he said, "Hey, I talked to Bob Melvin one day about that, and Bob said, well, there's things behind the scenes that he didn't say specifically what it was, but he didn't necessarily lead him to a different conclusion either.
That feels speculative on my end. So I can't speculate one way or the other. It certainly helps bolster my case that Bob Melvin's the right man for the job here, and Josh Hader should probably go.
I don't hear the music, but we have to get out in 5 seconds. So I will. We'll be back with more on this conversation next here on 97.3 The Fan.
Rise and shine and take in some early morning football when Bijan Robinson and the Falcons face Trevor Lawrence and the Jags in London. Our coverage starts Sunday morning at 6 a.m. on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One. Primetime NFL action is coming up from Lambeau Field in Green Bay when the Packers host the Detroit Lions. Both are 2-1, coming off a win last week. Now they face off for the early NFC North lead. Ian Eagle and Hall of Famer Joe Thomas will have the call, on air and on the free live stream sponsored by AutoZone on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on 97.3 The Fan.
It's Superstart Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get up to a $25 gift card after rebate with the purchase of select Superstart batteries. Our professional parts people will test your old battery for free and recommend the right battery for your vehicle. For power, performance, and reliability, choose Superstart batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
Hey, what's up? It's Tony Gwynn Jr. here for RCP Block and Brick, San Diego's #1 source for hardscape and masonry supplies, serving Southern California for over 75 years. If you're looking to upgrade your outdoor living spaces, RCP can help. RCP has 6 convenient locations all around San Diego County and is trusted by the best contractors, designers, and DIY homeowners. Go to rcpblock.com or visit their Instagram page to see some incredible outdoor living spaces.
Hey everybody, it's Boomer Esiason. eBay Motors has everything you need to keep your ride or die alive. From superchargers, brakes, exhaust kits, and more. With over 122 million parts, eBay Motors levels your baby up to its peak performance. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home the win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Fall is just around the corner, and home is the center of it all. At Ashley, seasonal decorating's a breeze with their range of designs and materials. Snuggle up on a family-friendly sectional or an ultra-modern sofa. Or gather outside and enjoy the crisp, cool air with a new fire pit or conversation set. From minor refreshes to total overhauls, Ashley has the essentials to make your home fall functional and fabulous. Shop in-store or visit ashley.com today.
If you want to be the first one to find out when the Padres acquire the next star player,
Jeff Passan
No
has
way!
just tweeted.
No way! How is that clubhouse feeling now?
then follow us on X at 97.3 The Fan SD. KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
If you live, breathe, and sleep sports, you have to listen to me, John Quintero. The John Quintero Show for the passionate sports fan from 10 to 2 on 97.3 The Fan.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
They're an arrogant, ingrown, close-knit brotherhood like the Mafia. They're the product of a sick society. To hell with tomorrow. Their bag is today. Their bag is right now.
Welcome to Ben and Woods.
Oh, the hair on my neck just stood straight up.
With Ben Higgins.
Thank God all these bottles I popped. All this paper I've been getting. All these models I popped.
Stephen Woods.
It's my job to pull that demon out of Ben Higgins, and I will do it.
And Paul Reindl.
Oh, my God.
It's Ben and Woods.
Oh, I do. We came to love you.
On 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we are halfway home on a Thursday, September 28th, 2023. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. I really appreciate you guys being here, supporting the show. Can't tell you how grateful I am for that. You guys are I pay for therapy as well, but this is very therapeutic to be able to come in and get things off your chest. You can follow us, watch us on YouTube as well, youtube.com. You can search Ben and Woods. You'll find us. You can find us on Twitch. You can listen on the Odyssey app or on your transistor radio. Comes in crystal clear on the FM dial, Ben. 97.3 is the frequency. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, executive producer. Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well.
Yeah, we got a very busy second half of the show.
We do. I'm very tired of the Padres drama and the non-answers and you were just telling me a little bit. I guess Kevin AC had a little follow-up today in his daily newsletter, which I enjoy very much.
Yeah, and I will say, I brought it up right away that I thought one of the biggest points of the piece that he put up yesterday was that Peter Seidler in recent days, because we haven't heard from Peter Seidler, but he has made it known from where he's recuperating that he'd like to see Bob Melvin and A.J. Preller come back. But the tone of Kevin's piece yesterday was that the relationship may be unfixable.
Civil war.
They're both on shaky ground going into a meeting at the end of the season.
You can't throw out the words Civil War
Civil
and then
war.
be like, everything's good, though.
The way I read that was that unless, they really wow the brain trust, the meeting, Eric Grupner and whoever is representing Peter from Seidler Equity Partners in this meeting, that one or both of them probably have to go. Even though they'd like them to say, they'll probably have to go. Kevin kind of this morning in his newsletter said, I wrote yesterday about the expectation that Bob and AJ will be back next season. Now, within the story, there was context regarding their strained relationship, but it does now seem more like he didn't want it to sound so much like they're definitely close to being on the way out. They're more close to being on the way back in for another season next year. And I know there's a lot of Padres fans who are not going to like that.
Yeah, for either reason. I mean, there's plenty of people want to see Melvin go. There's plenty of people that want to see Preller go. There's plenty of people that want to see them both go. I haven't heard from many, to be honest with you. And we have a lot of engaged listeners, followers on Twitter, comments in the chat. I haven't seen very many say, I want to run it back with these two guys at the helm. I'm racking my brain. I think I might have seen one, and it's from maybe the most positive human being on Twitter. And that's it. That's the only person that said, you know what? This year was an outlier. Let's run it back and see what happens. I don't know. I that's honestly the only one I can think of. I've seen a lot of fire Melvin. I've seen a lot of fire AJ. I've seen a lot of fire them both. I've seen one say, just bring them back.
I would love to see them run September back, next year, all year long. And
we do that. It's going to be fun year.
Remember, they're doing this, and you say, hey, well, what about the pitching? They're not going to have Snell. Well, they're doing this without two of their key starters anyway. I mean, yesterday's game, you're not expecting that much from Matt Waldron, and yet they find a way to go and win in extra innings. They're finding ways to win mostly games that they found ways to lose earlier this season. There's a good team in there somewhere. We always knew that. That's what the run differential told us. Not that they would be able to fix things and make the playoffs, but that there's a good team somewhere in there that's fighting to get out, and we just haven't seen enough of.
A team that shows up, 3 out of 7 games a week. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And when they show up big. I mean, they roll in.
But now they're showing up a little more when they need to as well.
More solid. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're playing good baseball. Is it too late? That remains to be seen. It feels like it is. But I do wonder now. I mean, it's not a total walk back by Kevin in his piece, but it is. I think it is important with everything you read and hear. You do have to take all of it with a grain of salt. Bob Melvin in Dennis Lynn's piece, he said Bob Melvin would maybe consider walking away, and then Bob Melvin's like, where'd that come from? I'm not walking away. What moron would walk away from a MLB manager's job worth $4 million in San Diego? And I'm going to finish what I started. So, not that any of this is bad reporting. It's all great reporting. It just, you hate to say, no one can Kevin can't write a piece that says, let's all just wait and see what happens. We can't do it either. Hey, let's just see how it plays out. It's not, nobody wants to hear that.
I also want to make clear, when you say that, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion they're going to miss the playoffs, it is. The fact that they're even still alive is pretty insane to begin with. The thought that they could keep it going here for another 4 days, they'd need, I believe it's 13 of 14 things to happen, essentially. They need every game they need to win their last 3. They need the Cubs to lose their last 4. They need the Marlins to lose their last 4. They need the Reds to lose at least 2 of their last 3 to get into the postseason.
It's gnarly.
So and they have an off day today, the Padres do, but the Marlins and Cubs both play today.
Same time.
At the same time, about 4:10, I think.
If the Marlins or Cubs win, we're done.
We're done. So we can get eliminated. The fact that if both those teams lose today, though, and the Padres can actually take this thing into the final series of the season...
Is everything that they need within the realm of possibility? Does it require a wizard to, make it happen? No, that's why it's called mathematically alive. There is one scenario out of the millions of possible ones that still gets them to the postseason. No one, unless you're absolutely, completely bonkers, no one thinks the Padres are going to make the playoffs here. If they did, it would be written about as one of the all-time sports stories and miracles ever.
30 for 30.
The San Diego Padres, who were out of it, 11 games under 500, and staring at this mountain of teams above them, and 8.5 games out of a wild card spot, made the playoffs in 2023. It would be incredible. Now, I got this tweet this morning from at Janky14. I got an X. Move on, dude. You're embarrassing yourself. Even if they did make the watered-down postseason, where are they going? Going to jump up and down wearing a wild card shirt? LOL.
That guy is maybe the worst follow on Twitter.
Is he?
Yeah. Possibly, not maybe. He's the worst.
I don't think
tweeter.
They're going to make it. If they did, though, they'd have a great chance because everyone does in the postseason. Wild card teams make it to the World Series all the time. Ask the Philadelphia Phillies last year. And do you think anyone wants to play the Padres if they were in the playoffs? Braves don't. They want no part of the Padres in the postseason. Dodgers don't want to see them again. They saw what happened last year. No one wants to play the Padres in the playoffs. And like I've said, they're not going to have to. But you don't. Yeah, of course you want them to get in. And if they got in, you'd think, all right, well, now everything's wiped away.
There's
0-0 again. Just like that we've been waiting for and hoping for all year long. It would happen. It would be a miracle. And can you tell me that the excitement in this town wouldn't be as off the charts as ever? I think a miracle run to the postseason would create an incredible atmosphere again in San Diego.
There's no doubt about it. It's such a no-brainer. And I don't think it's embarrassing at all to say no. We're still. I think that's what probably rubbed Padres fans the most wrong about what Josh Hader said the other day when he said, "Are we in a playoff race?" The answer is still yes, we are. And that's the tough part. Like,
we all know the math.
Yeah, we know the math.
Man knows the math, but he's still playing out there. Yeah. That's what he wants to believe. That until they're fully out, then they're not out. They were watching the game. Did you see that? He and Nick Martinez went up into the tunnel to watch the end of the Cubs-Braves game.
I did not see
that. And when the Braves won at walk-off, they came down and guys, we still got a pulse.
Still alive.
We're still alive.
Wow.
And, it created some excitement in the pot. This is what you do, to give yourself some motivation to keep it going. And Josh Hader, what he did was he just poured a bunch of cold water on guys who were at least trying to be enthusiastic.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what bothered me about it.
Trying not to
not
quit.
Not that he's wrong. A 1 in a million chance is not a chance.
No.
It's a lottery ticket. He's not wrong, but he's pouring a bunch of cold water on guys who are trying to do something good and right at the end of a terrible season. Don't do that. Don't pour a bunch of cold water on it.
Yeah, I don't want to do that either. It's so far out of the realm of possibility that it happens. But until it's over, it's not over. It could be today. Again, 1 win by the Cubs, 1 win by the Marlins, and it's over.
And they're all fighting for playoff spots. Other teams won't be. It would be insane if they all lost all their games. But They're all on the road. The Marlins, the Cubs, and the Reds do not play another home game. The Padres are obviously on the road, but they're playing the White Sox. I mean, you could see the Padres with something to play for. Certainly could sweep the White Sox this weekend. But it's the other games those are the dicey ones. I think it's the Cubs play one more against the Braves and then at Milwaukee. So good teams on the road, but ones who have already clinched anything they can clinch.
Miami's got the Mets.
Atlanta's got home field advantage. They can't do better than that. Milwaukee's locked into the 3 seed. They can't do better than that. So they don't have anything to play for. They just want to stay healthy. You're not going to lose all those games, are you?
I know.
The Marlins got the Mets, and then who do they have?
The Pirates.
The Pirates. I mean, nothing to play for at the end. The Reds have the Cardinals in St. Louis. I mean, it'd be a nice little Adam Wainwright farewell. They're not going to lose all those games. But until they do, someone loses at least one of them, Padres are still alive.
Man, if we make it through today, that would be... I think if they made it through today, I will start to believe.
I mean, now that they've won an extra inning game.
I know.
That's
anything's possible.
That's all I really want. Because if they make it through today, the Padres were alive for every show of of the regular season.
That's exactly right.
Because when we get here on Monday morning, the season will be over no matter what.
Yeah.
Playoffs or not. And they will have been alive for every day of every show that we had this season.
Albeit very, very slim, but still alive. On life support. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
And now it all is out of their hands. They just need the Mets and they need the Braves and the Mets to win today.
Yep.
To keep themselves alive for another day.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. Let's go Braves. Let's go Mets. Two things I never thought I would say.
All right, as I said, busy second half of the show coming up at the bottom of the hour. It's Thursday. That means an Eno Sarris Thursday, our smart baseball segment. Eno, one of the smartest guys we know, but following him up at 9 o'clock, Kyle Boddy from Driveline, who has helped revolutionize baseball. We've had him on before. He went and worked with the Reds for a while. Now he's back doing his thing independently with players at Driveline. And then we got our football threesome. It's a Thursday coming up at 9:20 as well. So we got a ton to get to, Woods, here in the second half of the program.
I'm here for it. Let's get hyped up.
All right. We'll be back. 833-288-0973 if you want to join us here before Eno checks in. Look at some of those other games that are going on in baseball. I had a big basketball trade. I assume that's a Rindle Report story. If we don't get to it.
Oh, no Rindle Report today.
Oh.
All right. Don't really have any time.
Yeah, that's true. We're so busy today. We got no time for anything. We'll probably have to mention the big trade then.
Kudos to you, Basketball Ben, for not even bringing it up for 2 hours and 13 minutes.
Basketball Ben makes a brief appearance coming up on 97.3 The Fan.
Where's Ryder Cup, Ben?
It's tomorrow.
Oh, it's tomorrow.
This segment of Men and Woods is brought to you by the Golf Mart.
Do I need to just take the segment off? Can I?
Speaking of golf, just because I brought it up right there, we do have our first pairings for the Ryder Cup. We're just announced. Tomorrow's foursomes in the morning, 4 matches. Some good ones. You got Scotty Scheffler and Sam Burns starting it out against John Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton. Then Max Homa and Brian Harman. The Open champion Brian Harman against Victor Hovland and Aberg, the rookie, who has just come up and made the team. Ricky Fowler, Colin Morikawa against Lowry and Straka. And then Xander Cantlay, the best pairing I think that we've got going against Rory McIlroy and Tommy Fleetwood. That's a good one to wrap up the foursomes matches.
What time does all this go down?
I think it gets started around
2 in the morning here?
No, I think it's like 11 p.m. here almost. Like late tonight will be the
So you're not sleeping.
the time difference because they're playing 36 tomorrow, so they got to start early in Rome
at 6:05,
which means probably like 8 a.m. in Rome. So I don't know if it's 8 or 9 hours, but it'll probably be around midnight tonight that you'll get the first coverage.
Look at me.
Look at us.
Don't watch any of it. Go to bed tonight.
It's fine. You get locked in more for the singles matches on Sunday at the end anyway.
Go to bed tonight. Go home.
He can't.
Get off work.
I will.
Go to bed.
I'll be too tired. I'll fall asleep.
Get your ass.
I'll watch a little bit as I'm falling asleep, but
I probably will wake up to some.
Yeah, and we'll wake up to see how the matches did, and then the second matches will be getting underway when we get up.
I'm more likely to catch it at 2 a.m. than I am at 11 p.m. I don't know the last time I saw 11 p.m., but I get up early.
You get up early enough, you'll be able to see the end of the first matches.
Okay.
You're in prime time right there.
All right, I will throw it on
for the first matches. So those are the pairings, the groupings for the first wave of the Ryder Cup tomorrow. Also, basketball, Ben, since we're just throwing it all out there today. I don't have a lot to say other than Dame Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo.
There we go. Okay.
Playing together is pretty cool. The three-way trade reported yesterday by ESPN involving the Phoenix Suns as well, ending this long saga of trading Damian Lillard out of Portland. But he wanted to go to Miami. I don't think it was ever going to happen. Just the pieces never came close to matching up with the Miami Heat and the Portland Trailblazers. If I'm Lillard, I can't be upset, though, that I'm going to the Milwaukee Bucks to get to play with a two-time MVP.
And he doesn't feel upset. I'm looking at his Twitter right now. He tweeted, this is so good, "The casuals won't be addressed, but the Trailblazers fans in the city of Portland that I love truly will be. And they will be addressed truthfully. Stay tuned. Excited for my next chapter." Then he starts tweeting about like he's excited. He's retweeting the Bucks and everything else. So yeah, he's that's a pretty interesting combo there with Giannis and Dame.
And
favorites,
though they've become the betting favorites now.
They just added like the most clutch shooter in the game.
4-1, not overwhelming, but they a lot of good teams out there. The Nuggets are coming back. The Lakers still think they've got a shot. They made the conference championship last season. It's not, you don't shrug your shoulders, and it's Boston still around.
I'm sorry, Dave Roberts. Listen, I give this trade 3-team trade.
Yeah, you do a great job.
Yeah, he does.
Is Milwaukee not actually a perfect place? I mean, after playing your career in Portland, he knows they got to be the most similar markets in basketball.
I'd say
like Portland and Milwaukee.
I'd say
Milwaukee's just colder Portland.
Yeah,
colder Midwest Portland
with better players
right now. Yeah, for sure.
Better supporting cast.
Absolutely.
What is this trade? And somebody tweeted this yesterday. I never saw a good answer to it. Do this trade if it was Major League Baseball.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Isn't that tough?
Because basketball trades are so weird. Because they just Drew Holiday is going to be traded right away, they said. So you don't even know what the final result is going to be.
What the roster's going to look like?
Yeah, what the rosters are even going to look like.
I mean, who's the best player on a crappy team?
Plus, it's all about the draft picks and the swapping of the picks, which you don't do in Major League Baseball. There really is no equivalent.
How about players?
I mean, Lillard he's not like Shohei Ohtani. He's not the best player in the game,
Mookie
obviously.
Betts?
Yeah, he's like a Mookie Betts level, an MVP.
Tatis even?
Close to caliber player. But not young like Tatis. Obviously, he's been around a little more.
Mookie's a good comp.
Not quite Freddie Freeman old, though.
And what did they get? Did they get enough back?
No,
they did not. You never get enough.
You
back
never
for
get
a
enough.
Once he
superstar
went
like that.
public, it was
In the
over
NBA, you
for
never get
Portland.
enough back. For
I
a
saw Jimmy
superstar.
Butler upset. He went to Instagram or whatever immediately and said, "Hey, NBA, y'all need to look at the Bucks for tampering."
That's all I'm going to say.
That's all I'm gonna say. But I didn't.
Sour grapes.
I heard it from some people. Look at them for tampering.
So as I've understood it, tampering is when a guy's a free agent and you like go too early to try to woo him, or your coach says something, yeah, we'd love to sign that guy who's not on your team anymore.
You got players in like post-game press conferences.
When you're
like,
discussing,
by the way, I'd
come
love
here.
to have
when
Jokic on our team.
when you're trying to pull off a trade, I mean, you're not wooing really anyone. You know, it's up to the GMs to come up with a trade. You know, it's not. It shouldn't at least be any convincing of. You're not trying to convince a free agent to come sign in your town. You're just hoping that he gets traded, that the pieces match up right, and that he can go to your team. How can you tamper?
But you're also
in a trade?
Because you can say, because Dame made it pretty clear he had one destination and one destination only.
You can convince him to not reject the trade.
Correct.
Is that tampering though? To convince him not to reject a trade? I wouldn't call that tampering. I don't know I don't know what the official rules are, but no one's in the NBA going to have a problem. They want this behind them. They want the season's about to start.
Yeah.
Training camps are opening up. We're like weeks away from opening day. They don't want a big, where is Damian Lillard's story still hanging over the start of the season? They want him playing on a team where he's going to be. And now it looks like he will be with the Milwaukee Bucks. And I think a really good spot for him to land, in the Eastern Conference, making it very interesting this season.
Yeah, I mean, and I know, there's a lot of Blazers fans. One of my buddies is a Blazers fan, and he said, honestly, I love, who's the kid they drafted, Scoot
Henderson.
Scoot Henderson.
Yeah.
He's like, let's get this era going. He goes, I love Dame. I appreciate Dame. I'm tired of Dame. At this point,
they're going to suck probably for a couple of years, but maybe... maybe it ends up being in the long run, hopefully a good thing for them. I mean, you can't make it work forever.
If he doesn't want to be there, he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
You can't make a guy play somewhere he really doesn't want to be. I mean, I know he's under contract. He never put the no trade in. All of that stuff is on him, but you don't want a malcontent there. He said, I'm not playing. If I'm here, I'm not going to play. So you had to do what you had to do, and now he's gone. I know Dan Levitard, huge Miami Heat fan, is very upset, has been railing against the NBA and the Milwaukee Bucks.
But it's not like there was a deal in place and Dame said no.
Correct.
I mean, that was just reports.
I mean,
everybody thought they were going to.
Dame committed the ultimate tampering when he said,
I
I
wanna
only
play
want to go
there.
to Miami. Well, you signed a contract. It's not up to you anymore. So that's irrelevant, really, what you think. The fact that he'd even consider it is just a nod at how much they respect you and like you. But you can't dictate where you go. I mean, if you wanted to do that, then don't sign a long-term deal.
Yeah,
go
no
as a
doubt.
free agent and go where you want to go. But when you sign a long-term deal, you've got to go where they trade you if you want to be traded.
Good point.
Pretty good landing spot, though, let's be honest.
Yeah, no doubt. He's going to have a
You don't hear
blast
as
there.
much about tampering in baseball. I mean, A.J. Preller can't just say, oh, yeah, we're signing Shohei Ohtani this offseason.
They didn't
right?
send him to Cleveland or something.
Right.
Like, he's playing with Giannis.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good
It'd be
fit
really
for
fun
him.
to watch, actually.
100%. I won't watch, but I mean, you guys, I'll listen to you guys talk about it.
You'll watch in May. June.
I always say that, and I really don't. I didn't really watch. I watched 4 minutes of basketball this year. It's fine. I am who I am.
Which 4 minutes did you
I
watch?
think like the last part. I watched a lot of college basketball this year, but I watched like the last couple minutes of a Laker game one time because I bet on it because you told me to, and I won.
Good.
And then
Who won the NBA title?
This year?
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Who is
Denver.
the current-
Yeah, good job.
Yes.
We're not
with their star player.
Nikolai Jokic.
You know what? I'm good with any pronunciation is fine by me. The fact that you knew it,
Their head
and
coach,
you know him, I'm okay with that.
Their head coach is not George Karl.
Very good. What's this? Nailing it. We got to get
not
moving.
Phil Jackson.
Who's their head
We
coach?
got to get moving. We got Sarris coming up
their head
next.
coach?
Malone? Mike Malone?
Mike Malone. Okay. Very good, Paulie. You guys are sharp. I mean,
Dude,
we're not the
sports show.
#1 sports show in San Diego for nothing. We know who won the NBA title this year and who their star player, who's the MVP of the league
That's exactly
year after
right.
year is.
And I know who their
Back-to-back
head
MVP.
I know who their head coach is not. That I do know.
You don't get that kind of
Not Pat
analysis
Riley.
on NBA TV or anything.
No. Welcome.
I bet Jeff Van Gundy might have had trouble with that question.
Probably.
All right, we got Sarris, some smart baseball. We'll get back to it coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Sarris standing by. First, a reminder, you can tune in to Kickoff with Boomer and Valenti every week. Boomer Esiason and Mike Valenti previewing the entire slate of NFL games right here on 97.3 The Fan, Saturday mornings at 6 a.m. or on the free Odyssey app. It is presented by Casamigos. Casamigos brought to you by those who drink it and by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. We will check traffic, and then we will talk some smart baseball with the Athletics' Sarris next here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Lowe's. Got a couple problems in the North County, eastbound side of the 78, right around Rancho Santa Fe, a collision. Also, Surface Street accident in Vista, Olive and Melrose. Watch out for some traffic control there. Elsewhere around the county, crash clearing on westbound King Freeway near the 15 and westbound 8 just before Severn. Tow trucks on scene for a crash involving a car and a motorcycle. Everything's over the right shoulder. Get the appliances you need right away at Lowe's. Explore the largest assortment of brands you trust, in-store or online at the best values. Plus, take advantage of our everyday financing offers. Lowe's knows home improvement, subject to credit approval. I'm Kelly Danick with Fenimwood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Joining us on our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. And let me ask you, did you ever think that when we talked to you on this last Thursday of the regular season, the Padres would still be mathematically alive?
Yes,
for a
he
playoff
did. He
spot?
told us. He told us all year it was going to turn around. So, yes, your answer better be yes, unequivocally.
Yeah.
Well, in April, yes.
Sure.
Last Thursday,
Not this
probably
way.
not.
Not this way. But I do think it's kind of hilarious. The parallels. I've just been, I've attended the Snell Webb game as a fan with the family. My son had the chance to interview Snell, and so he really wanted to go to that game. And then I went and covered the next day after Logan Webb made some comments about the clubhouse there. And I have to say I saw some parallels, some teams in disarray, and some managers acting like I haven't maybe ever seen them act before. I mean, Melvin's post-game comments where he's like, I guess that's what we're doing now.
Yes.
I mean,
that's wild.
That's the most checked out I've ever seen him. And I've seen Melvin I've seen Melvin manage A's teams that were going to lose 110, So that was crazy. And then Kapler taking John Brebbia out of the game where they're like wrestling with each other.
It was wild.
And Kapler's trying to have a smile on his face, but he's not happy. He has this Cheshire Cat crazy man smile on his face. And hits, Brebbia pretty hard on the butt so that Brebbia's glove falls off. I mean, that whole exchange was like, you guys are on edge. You have had enough, and there's some real paranoia. And I have to say this too: coaches on both staffs are super paranoid. Like, everybody is like really worried about what's going to come this off season in terms of change in personnel and what's going to happen. So just a weird series with paranoia and comments from players about each other, managers' comments. I mean, just so much paranoia.
And we've all been there, right? I mean, we've all been in a job before. Everyone listening, too, has probably been in a job where you're like, I'm waiting on the axe, or like in our case, we're waiting for the station to just stop existing, and that happened to us. And like, it's the worst. You can't sleep, you can't eat, or you overeat. You don't want to
do anything about it.
You just stare at your phone, and you're like, "Oh my God, when are we going to get the call?" And it is. I can't imagine, man. I really, I can't actually imagine. But when you think about baseball, the turnover is just ungodly. I mean, it's ungodly, especially here in San Diego. It's been insane in AJ Preller's tenure, the amount of coaches and players that have come through here. It's hard to account for.
Yeah, and I think being a major league coach or manager is one of the toughest things in baseball because of that. I think I've done the math where the average tenure of like a hitting coach is like a year and a half. The average tenure of a pitching coach a little bit longer, and then the average tenure of a manager is like 3 years, which sounds impressive compared to the other guys, but it's really not that impressive. If you had to change your job every 3 years, like that would be pretty intense.
So let me ask you, since you saw this team in person this week, Padres have the best record in Major League Baseball in September. They've won 11 of their last 13. Is this real? A mirage? What's your kind of analysis of the Padres here in September? Have they figured it out? Is this simply they're playing bad teams, so they're beating up on them finally? Although they didn't have trouble against the good teams. It was the bad teams they didn't beat up on earlier this season.
Yeah, I can't explain it. I think it's just the ebb and flow. I do think that sometimes chemistry in a clubhouse can take some time. And especially when this is almost unprecedented. Literally is unprecedented in terms of money, because that's how money works. Numbers get bigger, but just to have this many high-paid position players in one clubhouse is not something that's happened a lot. And, I wonder if at some point when you feel like, it's kind of a crazy season, it's not going to go our way, and everyone just sort of relaxes a little bit because they just feel like, okay, what are you going to do? Just go out there and play, I think, why is Manny out there right now? It's like, he's going to have off-season surgery. He's out there just because he can play baseball still, and it's still meaningful, and, he can be out there. So that sort of describes to me the kind of the sort of settling that can happen in this kind of a season.
Talking to our pal Sarris from The Athletic here on Ben and Woods this morning. And Mike Petriello, and I saw you retweet his piece on MLB.com about Ronald Acuna Jr. And I don't know that I've seen a lot of, mostly Dodger fans dismiss what he's done this season because they want Mookie Betts to win the MVP. And, hey, that's understandable. Mookie's had a phenomenal season as well in the leadoff spot for the Dodgers. But when you look at what Ronald Acuna Jr. has done this year, especially coming off of like the knee, just kind of try to paint a picture for us of what he's been able to do this year. And I know Mike Petriello talks about cutting his strikeout rate in half. How does that happen? How does one do that?
Yeah. I had a hitting coach text me recently, how many players do you think have really ever changed their plate discipline? Suggesting to me that like plate discipline on some level is innate, whether or not a guy, swings at pitches outside the zone, stuff like that. And I did look through and I was like, wow, even the people I thought improved, either were just young and hadn't shown us their true talent yet or this or that. Acuna is one of the few people where I was like, here's a guy who was more of a free swinger when he got into the league and really cut it. And then on top of that, cut his strikeout rate in half by improving his ability to hit fastballs. And one of the ways he did it was by fouling off balls that he used to whiff on. So adding that sort of gritty at-bat level 2+ bat speed that could already hit tons of homers is that kind of advancement. I think is super rare. I think that's even, it's more rare than just Mookie came into the league with great discipline, great contact ability. He's added some bat speed. That's less rare, I think. There are people who've come in with the ability to make contact and added bat speed as they filled out, got stronger, and so on. But Mookie is also super rare in that he's gone back to second base. He's played shortstop this year. I know that Acuna hasn't had that chance because the Braves have really great players at those positions. But at the same time, I would not put Acuna at shortstop. I would not put Acuna at second base. I don't think he can do those things. He's not actually even a really great outfielder. So you are looking at someone who is offensively great versus another player who's offensively great but also adds a little bit more of a defensive component. So I can see why it's close. But when it's close like this, and I don't think WAR is a thing that we should look at to the decimal point. So when you've got two guys who are basically tied in WAR, I think you go closer to the offensive stats because they're better. Offensive stats are better than defensive stats.
Yep.
I think that's something that everybody that works in stats knows. And so you have to start with the offensive stats if you have a tie.
I saw a list yesterday, and I don't have it in front of me, but of the the key pitchers who are currently out injured or at least facing injury concerns on playoff teams, like going into the postseason. I'm sure you kind of have an idea of some of the guys I'm talking about. How do you think that's going to impact the postseason, the amount of star pitchers that may or may not be available or at their best going into the playoffs that we're kind of not thinking about right now?
I mean, I think the team I think of right away is the Braves, because with Charlie Morton and Max Fried out for that first divisional series, they're going to have to pitch pitchers that I don't think are that good. Bryce Elder had a good run, but he was allowing a lot of contact, and he doesn't throw hard, and the movement is not special. So I would say that having to throw guys like Bryce Elder and Kyle Wright is a disadvantage for those Braves. Maybe they can do it with some bullpen games or just using Bryce Elder for 2 innings, but that's the team I think of right away as hurting the most in terms of starting pitching. And it's that one Achilles heel for a team that's got the best offense maybe ever.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to watch. And if you're everybody knows what happened last year to the 111-win Dodgers. There's just it's such a different game. And I brought it up earlier in the week. I saw a stat about teams that out-homer teams in the playoffs. And if you can slug and you can hit home runs in the playoffs, the record, is like astounding. If you out-homer your opponent, the records are unbelievable in favor of the teams that can hit bombs. That's why I look at a team like the Phillies. Kyle Schwarber batting 196 with 45 bombs is just, he probably drives old heads crazy. What is your kind of overall thought? I mean, they hit the guy in the leadoff spot. He's got 45 dongs this year, but can't, it's single or walk or strike out or bust. Or
he walks.
Yeah, he walks.
He walks. But it's just weird.
It is an odd duck. But he is a guy. He's a guy you don't want to face in October, as we know.
Yeah. I think they're a great offense. And actually, I don't know if people appreciate how great their bullpen is. They go 6 deep with hundreds and nasty breaking balls. And, they got this kid Orion Kirkering up who, just blew through the minor leagues this year, throws 100 and has an 88-mile-an-hour 2-plane slider that's just super nasty. And no one's seen him.
Yeah.
So, remember when Francisco Rodriguez, no one had seen him, and he just blew through those 2002 playoffs, and just nobody had an answer for him. So, I have the Phillies circled as an interesting team. And the Dodgers can slug too, but they have that same pitching concern as the Braves. The one thing is, I sort of believe in the young pitchers on the Dodgers more than the young pitchers on the Braves. Somebody like Bobby Miller, to me, looks like an ace in the making. So, the Dodgers may be able to fake their way through, a little bit better than the Braves. So, but the Phillies are an absolute wild card that could go all the way again.
I love the Phillies have an Orion and a Sir Anthony in their bullpen. Yeah. I mean, you got to create the all bullpen name team at some point. All right, before you go, assuming it's not the Padres, because we still have the sequence of, 14 things that still need to happen for the Padres to get into the playoffs. And it's probably not going to be the Reds either. Cubs or Marlins for the last wild card spot in the NL. The numbers actually favor the Marlins, I've seen. They're tied. The Marlins have the tiebreaker going into these last 4 games. How do you kind of break that one down?
I just think the Cubs are a better team. I can point to run differential. I know that your listeners are a little tired. I think you guys are.
It's like 150 difference between the two teams. It's nuts.
Most of us are tired. Ben is not tired of run differential talk.
I just think they're a better team, so I'm just going to go with the better team. The Marlins offense, to me, is super hit or miss. And yes, they have Luis Arias, but
Cubs have a harder schedule. I mean, Braves and Brewers versus Mets and Pirates, but the Braves and Brewers don't have anything to play for.
Yes, exactly. When you're facing contenders that are more worried about how to set up their rotation for the postseason, maybe you don't even see Spencer Strider, and if you don't see Spencer Strider or Charlie Morton or Max Fried, how scary are those Braves? It's going to be a slugfest, and the Cubs have a pretty good offense. So there's different ways where the last 3 games. I mean, anybody who plays fantasy knows the last 3 games of the season are just awful in any sport, really. The last week of the season is just just full of DNPs, coach's decision.
Yeah, no doubt. Before you go, we'll let you go, but I wanted to highlight a piece that was written about you to put you on the spot, embarrass you a little bit. Goodbeerhunting.com. It's no rally caps needed, catching some optimism with Sarris. I had a chance to read through it. It's really well done. It's probably embarrassing for you, but it's a testament to the adjective that was used to describe Sarris is that has a quality they call hangoutiness. And I said, well, that's maybe the best.
I experienced that at Petco Park earlier this year. Ernie, was a good hangoutiness kind of guy.
He's got that thing, and I retweeted it for our listeners to go read. It's really well done. What's that like, man, sitting down to do a very in-depth piece about not a player, but yourself?
Yeah, well, 2 things. One that was really weird was I tried to feed him some numbers of friends and people, but he found all those people by himself. He would not take any help from me.
That's awesome.
Just sort of opening it up and being like, oh, Ethan, I haven't heard from him in a while, So, it was kind of funny to see who he got. And then there was this nervousness about someone shaping the narrative about you, which I thought was really important almost for me to feel because I shape narratives around players.
It's a good point, man.
And
really good point.
That made me understand the nervousness they have about media a little bit better. And it's something that I think about when I'm writing about a player, to kind of treat them in the best light that I can. But it would really hit home that when somebody else is in charge of your narrative about your life, it can be really nerve-wracking. So I respect all the players that, sort of let me talk about them, let me write about them.
Woods is actually in charge of the narrative about my life.
That's true. I am. Yeah.
That's fine. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you during the playoffs, but thank you for the regular season. It was great.
All right. Thanks for having me.
That was Sarris, sponsored by 7 Mile Casino, featuring all of your favorite table games like California-style blackjack, poker, and baccarat. Just 7 minutes from the ballpark.
And all of our guests appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads, and the smart baseball is not over. It just continues in a different form. Coming up to kick off our 9 a.m. hour next, Kyle Boddy from Driveline is going to join us. He's already tweeted out our teaser that he's looking forward to this and expecting to talk a little bit about the Padres. And I want to ask him what he's kind of heard about the Padres. We know they're building that biomechanics lab at Point Loma Nazarene PLNU.
Yep.
And, what he's heard about their advanced technologies that they're trying to use to improve their own players. Because, they've had some players who've gone to Driveline, as most teams have. But we will get some inside scoop from Kyle Boddy coming up next in our final hour of Ben and Woods. Do not go away. You're listening to San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We'll be right back. We're rolling on a very busy Thursday, Throwback Thursday here on Ben and Woods, and we're going to go right back out to our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. I'll admit, we've been chasing this guy down for a while. Had him on
a few times.
Yeah, in the past, and then he worked for the Reds for a while.
Got busy.
And now he's back at Driveline, which is, I guess we call him the founder. Of
the
Driveline.
visionary.
The visionary behind it. Kyle Boddy is back with us here on 97.3 The Fan. And Kyle, it's good to have you back on.
Hey, thanks for having me. Too nice.
It's our pleasure, man. Where you been, stranger? What's been going on?
Oh, staying busy, man. We're in all the sports now, so it's baseball, all 4 American major sports we got contracts with, so I'm heading up all that now.
Oh, my Lord.
How much can you share about your time inside with the Reds versus, kind of what you do now independently, working with, now, as you said, athletes from all sports, but especially baseball teams?
It was great. I mean, they promised me, XYZ, and they over-delivered. I mean, Dick Williams was the GM at the time, and he did a great job. We made a lot of progress there. Just GM changeover, leadership change, and it was time to kind of look elsewhere. I mean, many such cases, right? That's how it kind of works.
Yeah, we were actually just talking to Sarris about the turnover in baseball, talking to our pal Kyle Boddy from Driveline here. So right to the meat of it, man, I wanted to ask you, I mean, you're obviously looped in. You talk to plenty of players. You work with plenty of players. When you talk about the San Diego Padres, that's the team we're obviously the most interested in, Kyle. What do you hear about, the technology of the Padres? How far behind are they? Things of that nature. That's what the audience really wants to hear about.
They were first movers in a lot of respects early on, but then I think what happens with a lot of teams is when you're the first movers, sometimes you cling to some ideas, and then suddenly, you become the last movers in a lot of ways. I mean, it's happened to Driveline, it's happened to a lot of teams. And I think they're playing catch up in a lot of regards. And how you build an organization today is more important than having the newest shiny objects, And I think that's a thing a lot of organizations are struggling with right now.
Now, they are building a biometrics lab in conjunction with PLNU, one of our local universities, and I think that's supposed to be ready in the coming months. But just building it is one thing. What's the secret to kind of implementing the biometrics that you guys get at Driveline and actually making a difference in performance for players on the field?
The thing, the point limit thing, I think, is a really good opportunity because you start involving people that have done it for a long time, and not just experts, but players and students who have actually applied it on the field. And that's the real thing. Is it's not about the numbers; it's about coaches and organizations and holding people accountable. Something we did with the Reds really well. Our coaches were accountable to the players' development, and we made it known. We empower these players, and we let them know that we work in service to them. And it's just not a top-down society anymore. I mean, kids today any parent can tell you they're tougher to parents. You can't just yell at them, and, they're very independent. And I think that is something you have to lean into. So kids and players have a ton of questions, and you got to be ready for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point that you make. Talking to Kyle Boddy here on Ben and Woods this morning, and you get probably a lot of word of mouth, right? Hey, I went to Driveline. They were great. Go check them out. I mean, do players come into Driveline a little skeptical? I did see a tweet from Dallas Keuchel that was like, when I heard of Driveline, I thought, oh, this is going to wreck my arm, and it's just going to get me to throw as hard as possible. But, what he was able to do and come back, I think it speaks a great deal about what you guys were able to do. Do they come in with a chip on their shoulder, a little skeptical at first?
Yeah, I mean, these guys are going to go to the Hall of Fame no matter what happens the rest of their career, right? So then they're always going to hold out something because they're successful. And Alex Cobb said the same thing. He gave probably 90-95% of himself, when he first came here. Not that he didn't work hard, but, he's pitched a long time in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Then when he got that contract, that big extension where he thought he was going to be out of baseball, okay, now I'm all in. And I think they've earned that. And you have to work in service to the players. It's kind of what I said before. And they've earned the benefit to doubt you.
Talking to Kyle Boddy from Driveline here on Ben and Woods, and I still don't. I mean, I don't totally understand the technology. We've seen it now for a few years, though. The body sensors, the high speed cameras that can do, the super slow mo that you guys use. What's the state of the art now? Like, what's
the
now,
next level?
What's next that you guys are looking at in terms of player performance technology?
Yeah, the markerless stuff. Every game is captured now in the big leagues, the biomechanics, and then every game in AAA is going to be. And just having that amount of data, there's a general manager kind of candidate that's been rumored, to get a ton of interviews this offseason. And he and I are very good friends. And he said the biggest mistake he made over the last years, and he's got a World Series ring. And he said the biggest thing is not getting ahead of that because all these body sensors and things would be cumbersome. But then eventually it's going to get rolled out. It's going to be easier to use. And now we're living in that present. And without a lot of that experience, he's playing catch up, and he really regrets it.
It's funny, man. I was thinking about this driving home yesterday, knowing we were talking to you, and our business is different, obviously, than what you do. But when you feel like, is it hard for you as kind of the visionary of Driveline and the person really that's responsible for staying ahead of the curve, so to speak? You rack your brain sometimes. You're like, have I reached the top of the mountain? How do you continue to try to innovate in a world where everybody thinks they know what they're talking about? I see debates, Kyle, online between former players that just go on for hours about the proper tunneling of a fastball and the proper mechanics. And it's like, who really knows what's going on? And how, for you, how challenging is that?
I think it's kind of the core principle of who we are. It's we call it like first principles platform. The best ideas win here. We don't care if it comes from interns, full-time employees, people with a PhD, and a dropout like me. I'm an idiot. I dropped out of college. So it's got to be. I got to have some humility there. The best ideas come from anywhere, and we empower employees. We pay. We let them use company money, time, equipment to experiment, and if they prove us wrong, there's nothing wrong with it. I've been proven wrong multiple times in open channels, Driveline, and it never feels good. People that say it feels good are lying to you, but at the end of the day, it's about the company. It's not about me. It's not named Kyle Boddy's baseball, guru, whatever. It's called Driveline, and my dream someday are people are going to train here. They're never going to know who I was, and they're going to win a Cy Young, and they're never going to have met me. And that's actually what I want, for this company.
Did you just pronounce your last name Boddy? And
yeah,
we've
been
calling
saying
you
it
Boddy?
wrong. What a gentleman!
Okay.
What a gentleman
Don't worry
you
about
are.
it.
Good Lord!
Don't worry about it. You're not the first. You won't be the last.
Kyle Boddy is with us here, just like we've been saying. So Kyle Woods asked you a little earlier about veteran skepticism. I want to go the other direction. And do you ever find that young players become almost too reliant? Is there such a thing? Tell them the story about Bob Melvin and the Padres prospect at spring training.
Well, so I was it was at spring training, and Bo Mel asked one of the young pitchers to come throw a bullpen. He had all the catchers kind of set out. There's 4 catchers and 4 mounds, and the pitcher looked at him and said, I can't. And he said, well, why not? And he goes, well, there's no track man. And he's like, but you have a catcher. Just go throw a pen. And he's like, I can't do it without the track man. The track man's down. And Bob Mel, the look on his face. Now this is he's an analytics guy. I mean, coming from Oakland, obviously. But Kyle, he looked like he had lost. He's like, it looked like he was going to walk and get into his car and drive away. At that point. So I think Ben's point is a fair one. Do pitchers and players sometimes get too reliant on the things that you guys can provide?
I'd say like anything else, the greatest thing of the analytics though is it's addicting. We had a reporter in yesterday, and I was showing him the tracks and the hitting side of it, but it's all the same, right? And he's like, man, this is great. I want to come back tomorrow and do it. It's like, yeah, but at the end of the day, you don't have it in the game, right? And we went through this with the Reds. We are at low A with our young kids. They got so addicted to making their stuff nasty and the break and the spin rate. And we walked 20 guys in the game, and I got chewed up by my boss. What do I got to say? I deserve it. 100%. At the end of it, we had to readjust. And that's on me. It's not on the coach there. It's on me. I'm the director. And so we took away that technology for a period of time to just say, hey, and DJ, the big league coach, has a great, are we working over the plate or are we over the rubber? So for over the rubber, we don't care what happens to the plate. We care about spin rate. We care about nastiness. That's fine. Then there's times we care about over the plate. Now we don't care about spin rate. We care about location, command, competing. And we got too far away from getting over the plate. So we have those sessions, and you really can't blend them in training. You have to, am I competing right now or am I training on the inputs? And those are the things you have to separate. That was a lesson for me. Yeah, and then we ended up doing well. We threw a no-hitter later, and we really dominated with a bunch of non-drafted free agents, and that's what made me the most proud because it's not about the top prospects. It's about the entire organization and how we can get people to buy in and really quick. When those non-drafted free agents start passing up your prospects, that's when you see a lot of change. So when Carson Spires got to the big leagues with the Reds, we signed him for $20,000. And he gets up there. He's the first player in that draft class to reach before our first rounder, before our third rounder. He gets up there this year. I mean, that makes you really proud because then you know the system was working for everybody.
That's beyond fascinating to me, by the way.
That story about the red single A, I just can't. I'm just picturing some 20-year-old going, "Did you see how nasty my stuff was? You walked 9 guys."
100%. I mean, no, it happened. It happened a ton, and that's on me. Like you get so addicted to some of these things, and it's it is more important than ever to have that nasty stuff. These guys are. It's a joke how good they are. I mean, Juan Soto, if he takes a pitch, it's a ball.
Yes.
He's not wrong. He's never wrong. And so the point is like these guys are so good, and the defense is so good that you have to be that nasty. But you can get too far away from it. It happens to all of us. And on the other side, you can get so addicted to throwing strikes and command that, as Spencer Strider said, man, if you got command and no stuff, we call that batting practice. So you got to figure out which way you got to go, and being in the middle is very difficult.
That's amazing insight. Talking to Kyle Boddy from Driveline here on Ben and Woods this morning. So you're a student of the game. You watch a lot of players. I'm catching a little bit off guard right now, but when you look at the San Diego Padres roster, give me a couple players you look at and say, I could really whip him into shape, or, give me a pitcher or something you like. I like his stuff, but, I mean, do you watch games, Kyle, and go, oh, if he just puts his arm here, he's going to be much better. Is that something that happens to you?
Contact us on driveline.com.
Yeah, contact us.
Yeah. I mean, a little. I focus so much on the minor leagues because it's such my passion. People are like, oh, you just want to be the director so you can be a big league pitching coach. And I got in some trouble by kind of saying so. I don't want to be a big league coach. I want to be in the minors. And then, oh, you're too good to be a big league coach. It's like, okay, well, I didn't.
You can't win, man.
Yeah. No, and so I think a lot about the lower minors. And when we played the Padres in High A, Dayton, and played them, what stuck out to me is like, yeah, we have these top prospects. Anderson Espinoza was out there. I'm like, man, that's awesome. He was a top 50 prospect forever ago, and the Padres did a lot to bring him along. But then, the depth of the organization, when we would get into the later weeks and we would get into the late innings, and we're pitching our non-drafted free agents, our non-priority guys, and the Padres and many other organizations are pitching their guys. I mean, we're killing them. And like that's a telling story. Like they're teams that care about the entire organization, and that's how I was brought up with Houston, and how I was brought up with Tampa and Dodgers, the organizations I worked with before. And then some of the organizations chase their prospects, the top 30 list, everything on Twitter. And if I'm going to be an old man about it, these prospect lists are a joke. I mean, like seeing these guys are destined to be big leaguers. It's like, well, no, that's not how it works. This game's really difficult. It's really hard to predict. And as a GM told me 10 years ago, if you're really good at predicting who can get to the big leagues, you need to quit your job and go trade stocks.
Yeah,
a lot
100%.
more money than that. So that's kind of how, and that's how I see it in the minor leagues. It's just the depth of the organization of the Padres is really hurting. And I think addressing that would go a long way down the line, which I know is not, sexy today in the big leagues, but it's what builds sustained success.
Before you go, Kyle, what would you say is one of your biggest velo success stories? Like, what are we talking about? A guy who comes in throwing 91 and leaves throwing what? What's like the top end of success that you've seen in terms of velocity?
And can you get me to 69 miles an hour? That's what I want to know.
I mean, let's just go with Spires because Carson, he came in really good command, and his stuff was terrible at Clemson. I mean, he could compete. He got outs, and he was good. But he went from sitting 89, he's getting into games touching 97, and this kid has all the same tools. Now he's got 5 pitches. He throws 5, and 3 of them aren't very good. But the fact that he has 5 different pitches and he's gained a ton of velocity, he's gone from a guy that was sitting 89 college to pitching in the big leagues on the 40-man roster. And that type of production, I told him when he made the big leagues, I called him, I said, it's not just about you. I mean, I'm so happy he's a big leaguer. But how many kids are going to be at Division II, Division III schools, junior colleges, and they're going to look up and say, hey, like, that's possible. I said, like, you could be the beginning of a new revolution. And that type of velocity gain in someone that's already 22, I mean, like, that's I was so proud of it because I knew what it meant for baseball and not just for him.
Now, we do have some big leaguers and coaches who listen to this program, but for the regular audience, what projects, are you working on that you want to get known out there? The biomechanics stuff. I've heard about smash factor balls. Like, what's out there that maybe, local coaches and people like that might want to know about?
Yeah, the Driveline Academy team up in Seattle where we're training kids and starting at a younger age and building that engine the right way and the right mentality has been a really big passion project of ours. We're really happy with it. And on the other sports, I know it's a baseball program, but man, the NBA, NFL, we're working with quarterbacks. There's a couple quarterbacks in the NFL using our stuff and they're shooting the lights out. I'll just leave it at that. And on the NBA side, they're bringing in Hawkeye this year, so tracking of all the players in the NBA. So fatigue tracking, injury tracking. The future for Driveline and the future for sports science is bright. So all these people that want it to go away, I got bad news. It's coming to more sports than baseball.
What about golf, man? I feel like you guys could crush it in golf.
Yeah, we've done a lot of work with golf. You know, I spoke at the World Golf Science Forum. We've worked with a couple PGA players and scientists there, and we definitely think that they're ahead of baseball in a lot of ways, and they're behind in a lot of ways. And where they're behind is where I think we can help, is the biomechanics of the body and the sports science side of it. Where they're ahead is the TrackMan, because TrackMan's from golf, it's not from baseball.
Yeah.
You know, they started there. So they're so, you know, the oldest school golfer in the PGA has a TrackMan. If you think about that, like, that's old technology there. Like, how crazy is that? So imagine the future for baseball when TrackMan will be old, and I think that's kind of where you can see baseball going.
That's awesome, man.
Kyle, so glad we
Great
got
stuff.
this chance. Thank you for your time this morning, and we will do it again sometime.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. We'll get the name right next time. It's all
Yeah.
good.
Kyle
Boddy
from Driveline with us on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads.
Wow.
He is good, man.
He is fantastic.
Some interesting comments. We'll break those down. Well, let me just say it because we got our football threesome coming up next.
Yeah.
The depth of the Padres minor leagues. You know, we keep hearing about, hey, the Padres are building the minor leagues back up fast.
Boy,
Just because you've got high-ranked prospects, Kyle says, doesn't necessarily mean that those are going to save your big league team anytime soon.
How about the comment of really focusing on your top 30 and your top 30 only? That hits pretty close to home here if you're a Padres fan and have been following the team over the last decade. So
Right.
Interesting.
We've got our football threesome getting ready for another NFL weekend. Some headlines from the National Football League that is coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station. Check traffic right now at 97.3 The Fan. All right, thanks again to Kyle Boddy from Driveline. Good stuff in our last segment.
Really good stuff.
But since it's already 9:24 and we got another guest coming up in just a couple of minutes, let's get right to our Thursday feature. It's time for the football threesome.
Very sexy.
Can Ben and Woods interest you in a threesome?
A threesome would be fun.
Oh, not that kind of threesome.
Dang it.
We're talking end-arounds, the best tight ends in the world.
He must work out.
And going all the way in this game of inches.
Nice.
It's the NFL threesome with Ben and Woods. Brought to you by Hummel Casino. Fun above all else on 97.3 The Fan.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
I get tingly every time I hear the open for the threesome. Would you like me to start, Ben, on the threesome today?
Yeah, why don't you start with the Jets?
So I will start with the Jets, and obviously, no one expected 4 plays into the season the Jets to have to pivot away from Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know that anyone expected Aaron Rodgers to be as vocal as he's been since he's been gone, and I do think I do side with Aaron Rodgers here, and so does the head coach of the New York Jets. Is it Saleh? Saleh. Yeah, Robert Saleh and some of the veteran leaders on their team. If you missed it last week, you saw a little bit of a dust up on the sideline. I think it was wide receiver Garrett Wilson. Almost kind of went after one of the coaches, got right in his grill. The coach, to his credit, heard him, kind of turned, walked away from him. It happens. Emotions run high on the sidelines. When Zach Wilson's your quarterback, you're probably not getting the ball. It's just frustrating. And that's a team that had really big aspirations this year. But Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show came out and said, hey, we got to grow up. We got to clean this thing up. And I think some people were like, hey, easy, bud. Easy for you to say, when you're not in the trenches. But that's why you get in Aaron Rodgers. You get kind of that player coach type of guy, even whether he's on the sidelines and playing or not.
I actually think it's kind of pathetic the way the Jets kowtow and grovel at the feet of Aaron Rodgers still. He's right, but you say that behind closed doors.
Oh, him?
Yeah. You're with the team. You're in the meeting room.
Well, he was asked about it.
He was asked about it.
He's in a hospital bed, so he was asked about it.
I understand what the situation is and the circumstances are. But if it's any other person, any other coach would say, kind of keep our business behind closed doors. Don't be airing it out. Don't be airing our dirty laundry out on a national radio program.
But it was already on national television. That incident happened.
I realize that.
Wouldn't that be the message? Is, hey, if you want to get pissed at your receivers coach, you do that in the locker room. So Saleh said he's as much of a coach as he is a player. He's been around youth. He's been around adversity. He's seen it all. So for him to recognize that, talk through it, I think he's not wrong.
Do you think if an injured Anthony Richardson said something like that about the Colts game last week, though, that the Colts would be, oh, yeah, he's totally right? I mean, no, he'd say, keep that behind. No.
Has he earned that?
No.
Has Aaron Rodgers?
Maybe.
Yeah, not maybe.
He's been with the Jets for 4 plays.
15 minutes.
He had earned it with the Packers. I don't know that he's earned it with the Jets.
I disagree fully. Does Max Scherzer have a right to walk into a new clubhouse and go, hey, this is what I'm
in the clubhouse? Absolutely.
Or does he have a right to say it
on
to the media?
national media? I don't know.
I mean, the Jets are going to jet. They always do. There's always this kind of strife and stuff. And I think, I don't know, I side with him here. I think he's well within his rights to comment, especially when asked about it. Go ahead.
This is a football threesome, right?
Yes.
Do we have to stick to the NFL or we can go college, right? Because I got my lineups for the weekend that I put together.
Do both.
I'll do both. All right. So for my element of the threesome, we'll start on your best watching on Saturday first for the NCAA. If you want to line up and sit behind the television all day long, here's how I do it. Start at 9 a.m., number 8 USC at Colorado, because we're still watching Deion even after he lost. How do they react to the loss? At home now against the Trojans.
Another really good team.
Yeah, going to get plenty of attention, but that's the best game in the morning on Fox. And then at 12:30, I think you go with number 24 Kansas at number 3 Texas on ABC. There's also the Georgia-Auburn game, but I think that's going to end up being a blowout. So I'll stick with the Big 12 on this one. Then Woodsy, I got to go with it. ABC again, 4:30, number 11 Notre Dame at number 17 Duke.
Here we go again.
Are the Blue Devils for real? This
Are
is
the
a
Irish
road,
for
This
real?
is a road game for the Irish, coming off that tough loss to Ohio State. Can they bounce back, or
Can they get 11 men on the field?
are they
Is
going to
really
get punched
the
in the mouth
biggest question.
again?
That's the biggest question.
2 losses usually would eliminate you from playoff contention.
Yeah.
We'll see, because they're not expanding. Remember, they're not expanding the playoffs this year, not until next year. So it's just the top 4. And then if you really are a diehard, 6 o'clock ESPN, number 12, Alabama at Mississippi State. I think how far is Alabama slipping? How much are they slipping?
Well, I thought they were, and so I took Ole Miss last week. I really thought that Ole Miss was going to win that game, and Nick Saban came out and said, "Hey, dummy, did you really bet against me?" And I said, "I did, sir. Take my money." So we'll see. We'll see what happens. They've got issues. They have issues at the most important position.
And then Sunday's best, I think in the early games, Dolphins at Bills.
Oh yeah,
fantastic. Dolphins. How many points can they score? But the Bills have played really well after their bad one against the Jets to open the season. They've started, clicking.
I also saw a stat yesterday. If you were betting that game, there was some staggering numbers against after you score 50 plus points when they scored 70. Like 1-14
Really?
the week after. Like
Interesting.
It's just it's a train wreck.
Ravens and Browns is probably going to be pretty low scoring, kind of boring, but I'm kind of there for it. It's a rivalry, of course. It's old
it's a good
Cleveland,
game.
new Cleveland, and 2 really good defensive teams. Cleveland's defense has been insanely good the first 3 weeks. That's a good one in the morning. Bucs Saints, they're both 2-1 in the NFC South, and then in the afternoon, best game's probably Chargers Raiders, which isn't a great game, but they're both 1-2, and it's another huge one, especially in the AFC West. So those are my Sunday's best options for you.
You will hate watching that game.
It's hard to eat. I mean, I don't love the Raiders still, but yeah, I got to cheer for the Raiders, obviously.
Yeah.
All right, Paulie,
100%.
wrap us up, buddy.
Well, the NFL week gets started tonight. Thursday night football, 5:15. A battle of NFC North teams. The Packers going to host the Detroit Lions. Both teams 2-1.
Good one, yeah.
The line right
Here on
now,
97.3 The Fan.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we don't have baseball tonight.
Broadcast will start at 4:30 on 97.3 The Fan. Right now the line is Detroit -2 points.
So I did see another stat, a betting stat. Jared Goff against the spread is like staggeringly great.
Really?
Yeah, I like he's Survivor week 1. I picked the Chiefs. It was against Goff and the Rams. Yeah. He was like 14-2 or something against the spread in week 1.
But he's going to have to win at Lambeau to beat the spread on this one.
Yeah,
that's a tough thing to do.
It's a tough thing to do
on prime time.
Green Bay looks
okay. Yeah,
I'm not ready to anoint Jordan Love as he's there yet, but he's not bad. That's for sure.
You beat the Bears, so that's not
doesn't
so
count for
much.
anything,
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I don't know.
They came back to beat the Saints though last week.
On
That's
the
not
road,
nothing.
It's Lambeau's the X factor for me on that one.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And Thursday night football primetime game, Amazon Prime.
Amazon
Yeah,
Prime.
okay. We're starting a new Survivor pool as well.
Yeah, we did after 3 weeks.
Since our old one is already
Paulie
done.
already
Paulie
won.
already won one.
What if I went?
You can
this
pay-
week. Didn't we all pick the same? I got to imagine we all went the same.
I took the Chiefs.
I took the
Again?
Chiefs. I took the Chiefs.
Wait, who are they
crap.
playing?
Woods picked them. They're playing New York, the Jets.
No, I got the 49ers against the Cardinals.
It was
At
between
home.
those two.
What if
I
the
got
Chiefs
49ers.
knocked me out in twice in
That would be
3
amazing.
weeks?
Amazing.
Yeah, that's a football threesome.
All right, we'll come back. We got a special in-studio guest. Gull season about to start, and our friend Matt Savant has stopped by.
My man.
Get us hyped up for some hockey. It's coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Ashley Furniture. Fall is here, and at Ashley, seasonal decorating is a breeze. Snuggle up on a sectional or an ultra-modern sofa. Gather outside with a new fire pit or conversation set. Ashley has everything you'll need. Shop in store or visit ashley.com. And as I think about the weather getting a little bit cooler, I start thinking about indoor sports seasons like hockey. And the Gulls getting set to get underway. We'll talk with Matt Savant, who's in studio with us right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danek.
Traffic is sponsored by VA House Casino and Resort. Tow trucks on scene of a two-vehicle accident on the 25th Street on-ramp to eastbound King Freeway. In the North County, northbound 15 before Rancho Bernardo Road, a collision involving a couple vehicles. That's in the center divide. And a Surface Street accident in Vista. This has got some traffic control enclosures in place centered around Melrose and Olive. Traffic in San Diego may be stressful, so let VA House Casino and Resort alleviate your anxiety. Take a dip in alluring relaxation, rejuvenate in Willow Spa, or win that life-changing jackpot. Your unmatched staycation experience is just 25 minutes from downtown. VA House Casino and Resort. I'm Kelly Danek with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station. 97.3 The Fan.
Well, as I said, Gull season's getting started here, but tomorrow night, actually, at Pechanga Arena. And I don't know, how long has it ever happened? How long has it been? We got Matt Savant from the Gulls. Still president. Have you changed titles? Or
Title's still the same.
Same title.
All good. Happy to be here.
But we got an actual NHL preseason game at Pechanga Arena tomorrow night. Has that ever happened in San Diego, like an NHL game before? I can't remember.
Yeah, so tomorrow night will be the third time that an NHL game has been played in San Diego. The last time was 1994.
No wonder I didn't remember.
Years ago.
No wonder I did not remember.
Been a while.
You're a young buck.
I was in college. I missed that one entirely.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
It is cool.
That we're actually seeing some NHL stars coming down to America's finest city.
Yes. And as I said, 30 years is a long time. That's actually when the Anaheim Ducks, or back then the Mighty Ducks, came into the league, was 93, 94. So kind of as their promotional kind of kickoff, they sent a couple of preseason games, and San Diego was chosen. So this is the first time in almost 30 years, and it's awesome because a lot of the guys that we're going to see tomorrow night have come through San Diego. As you guys know, the Gulls are a feeder team for the Anaheim Ducks. So all these kids, when they're young and they're coming up, they stop through here in San Diego, go up to Anaheim. A couple of All-Stars, John Gibson, who's the All-Star goalie for the Ducks.
I saw Chase DeLeo score a goal in their first preseason game.
And he scored again last night.
Oh, he
Chase
did?
DeLeo,
Nice.
captain of the San Diego Gulls, is up in Anaheim right now at training camp and playing really well for them. So it's exciting because it's kind of a homecoming for some of these guys.
Matt Savant from the San Diego Gulls joins us this morning. Leo Carlsson was your draft pick. Tell everybody about Leo, and can we expect to see him in San Diego at all this year?
Yeah, so Leo Carlsson was drafted second overall this year in the draft, just this last summer.
Now, there's a story behind that for people who don't follow hockey that closely.
Yes.
There was a draft lottery, and of course, there was like a #1 pick that everyone was kind of hoping to get, Connor Bedard.
He's a really good player.
And it came down to the last two ping pong balls or whatever, however they did it. And the Ducks were right there. And it was like,
the Ducks were right there. And unfortunately, the Ducks had a rough season, so they qualified last in the league from a point standpoint, therefore had the best percentage chance to win the #1 overall pick. Now, the good news is the draft this year is loaded. So the top 5 picks were all going to be, bona fide stars. So we knew we were in a good position. But as you mentioned, Connor Bedard was kind of the prize that people were after.
Doesn't guarantee anything.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
You never know how these kids are going to mature and develop. Bottom line is we got the second overall pick, and we picked this kid named Leo Carlsson. He is an unbelievable talent. He's been playing against men in Sweden for the last several years, so he's got a big body. He's a big centerman, and this is the kind of guy you draft for the playoffs, right? When you get into the playoffs, the game gets heavier, gets bigger, and you need guys that have a good frame, can play down the middle. So
guys like us,
Ben
and Woods.
Everybody in this room, solid, healthy guys.
Solid.
Viking
Solid.
blood.
Yes, 100%. In it for the long haul.
Correct. So we picked Leo. There is a chance, the way the rules work, usually a kid that's drafted in his first year cannot come down and play in the American Hockey League. Because Leo played in Europe, he is eligible. So,
nice.
Depending on how it all works out, these guys all want to stay in the NHL, and we're all for it. But if he does want to come down and get some time in the American League, we could see Leo Carlsson, #2 overall pick, right here in San Diego.
Awesome. And you guys, I mean, rough year last year, and we were talking to you off the air about it. You do feel better about the team moving forward. Is it Is it maturity? Is it more reps? Is it another year under your belt? You always believe in the talent? Because I'm sure there's teams that are like, it doesn't matter how many years we give these guys. I just don't think they're it. But you guys feel strongly about what you guys have.
Yeah, it's a combo of all of that. So just like any sport, no matter what sport you play in, if you're having a down couple of years, you get higher draft picks. With those higher draft picks, you get a better chance to hit on good players. The Ducks have had a couple of years where we're drafting in the top 10. Those kids are all starting to mature. They're becoming men. They're getting older, bigger, stronger. And we're in a spot where they're all coming together on the same team at the same time. So with that, you've got young talent that you're not paying a lot to yet, just with the way the salary cap works. So we've got an opportunity to make some noise in Anaheim. But really, we have a chance to make some noise in San Diego because those kids have to come through here to get to Anaheim. So a lot of really good young talent is coming our way.
Good.
Of course, Matt, part of the minor league experience is seeing young players coming up, but it's also going out and just having a good time on a Friday or a Saturday night and enjoying a game and maybe some cold ones as you're in the arena and some promotions. I mean, that's part of the minor league experience. What do you guys have kind of on tap this season for the Gulls and the fans?
Yeah, so if you've ever been to a Gulls game, you know that we are not short on fun, and we're throwing a party every time you come to Pechanga Arena, especially on Friday nights like tomorrow night or our home opener on October 20th, where we do a $5 Blue Line Blonde. We just partnered with Mason Ale Works, and they are a great partner, and we brewed our own beer, and it's called the Blue Line Blonde. If you're a hockey person, you understand.
Hold up the six-pack
because
we got the YouTube stream.
We got the stream going right there. So
go.
these will be for sale every Friday night at the arena for $5. So it's great for fans to come in and enjoy some hockey and have a couple drinks.
Took Bo last year to his first Gulls game, and while I thought he would be more into the hockey itself because he loves sports. He wasn't. He was 4 at the time. But he loved the presentation. He loved Gulliver. Yeah. I bought him one of the little Gulls pucks.
Zamboni.
I'm not kidding you when I tell you the dude has slept on that puck every single night since he bought it. He has a pillow, and then there's his puck is his main pillow.
Yeah.
He says every night. Can't live without it. He's got his Gulls socks on. He loved the presentation. It is really fun for kids of all ages, of course, adults with the beer as well. So it's a really fun experience. If you haven't been out to a Gulls game, I mean, you're not going to find better for the price as well. It's a great
and that's
price.
Another thing we try to pride ourselves on. We know that it's high level professional hockey, but at the same time, we want to make sure we can get as many people in there, so we price it right. And when you come in, you're not going to leave feeling, hey, even if they won or lost, I didn't have a good time. You're going to feel I got my money's worth. I had a good time, and I had a couple good drinks. My kids enjoyed it, so that's our goal.
No doubt.
What's the future looking like with obviously, trying not to follow too much of the city politics, but redevelopment of the sports arena site with a new arena? I know they have that proposal that's on there. I know this is probably a few years down the road, but in terms of the Gulls' long-term future, is that what you expect to move into a new arena at some point? Are you okay with Pechanga? How's that looking?
Yeah, so much like you guys, we are on the outside looking in. So we're waiting. We don't have a dog in the fight as far as financial involvement, but we are staying in San Diego no matter what. We're here. We are San Diego's team, and we're hopeful that a new arena is built. We're hopeful that it's beautiful and our fans can come and enjoy it. Our players can play there. It feels like it's several years away still, so we are at Pechanga Arena for the foreseeable future. A little bit of business talk. We just signed on for a long-term lease, and our goal is to stay here as long as they'll have us.
Can we do one of those outdoor games one time, like the Winter Classic, like Snapdragon, put a hockey rink down there? How hard would that be in like 75-degree weather here in San Diego?
It's actually doable.
Didn't they do it at Dodger Stadium?
We've done it the Ducks and the Kings played at Dodger Stadium, so we definitely can do an outdoor game. I would love to do it. Let's talk to the Snapdragon guys.
How about Ben and Woods Arena for the new arena?
A name? Yeah, we can sponsor. Well, I mean, we had an NIL golfer for $100 a month.
Yeah,
I mean, if we up that to like $150,
might be in the budget.
We might be able to get an arena title sponsorship.
Sure, the Odyssey Brass would sign right off on that.
I think it's fine. Yeah, $150 will get it done.
Get her done.
You guys will be fine.
Maddie, we obviously wish the Gulls the very best this season. Thanks so much for coming by, bringing us beer as he always does, contributing to the delinquency of already delinquent people. But Matt Savant, President and CEO of the San Diego Gulls. Go get your tickets at
SanDiegoGoals.com. Tomorrow night, Ducks versus Kings, 7 p.m., Pechanga Arena.
Amazing.
Very
Thank
nice.
you so much, buddy.
Very cool. I'm glad they're still around and back for another season coming up. Of course, we don't have Padres baseball tonight. We just mentioned we'll have the NFL game for you. But
what are we going to do tomorrow?
Well, I mean, we'll either know if the Padres are eliminated or still alive, because it'll take, as we mentioned, two things need to happen to keep the Padres alive for another day. The Miami Marlins need to lose to the New York Mets at Citi Field, 4:10 start, and the Chicago Cubs need to lose to the Atlanta Braves at Truist Park, 4:20 start. So by 7 o'clock or so,
we'll know.
We should know if the Padres are still alive or have been mathematically eliminated from the playoff chance. Finally, I was getting texts during that segment. They want to put me in tonight on Channel 10, like an early hit, like in the 5 o'clock. Like, hey, Padres still alive. What kind of hype? And I'm going, well, but like if the Cubs like come out and take a 7-0 lead in the third inning, I'm going to come on and go, yeah, I mean, they're still alive, but it's pretty much now it's over.
But it's also the Cubs who just blew.
That's true.
Massive...
They have been blowing leads every day.
Last night I watched some of that game, the double play that I think it was Ozuna. It should have been double play. Kind of a casual flip by Hap to Dansby Swanson. Sailed right over his head. You guys see the Yan Gomes throw? I've never seen this in all my years of watching baseball at any level. Did you guys see the throw down?
I didn't see the throw down.
You guys, he popped up to throw the base runner out. He threw it in the 5-5 hole. He threw it between third and short. He did not spike it. He threw it on a line, down. I was like, do you have money on this game? Like, you guys should be investigating.
Like, am I throwing it to second or third? I'm not sure. I'll split the difference.
He threw it where the shortstop would be standing. And I go, these guys are panicked. And when something like that happens, if you've ever played at any level, you boot one ball, you're like, don't hit it here. Do not hit it to me again. The Seiya Suzuki error the night before, the Hap error last night, was it Hap or was it Horner? One of the two. I can't remember. Hap doesn't play infield anymore, I don't think. I think it was Horner. Horner flips it right over Swanson's head, and you're just like, oh no. The lights are getting very bright. Things are tightening up, if you know what I mean.
How torn are you? Because the Padres still have a less than 0.1% chance of making the playoffs mathematically. The Marlins are more of a coin flip now.
Yeah.
Skip Schumacher is your absolute favorite guy in the world, but the Padres need Skip to lose every game to even have a chance.
I mean, I'm not really torn.
One loss by the Marlins could cost them a playoff spot now. If they win their last 4, there's a good chance they're in. In fact, they are. They control their own destiny.
Until the Padres are eliminated.
If they have the tiebreaker with the Cubs, so if they win their last 4, the Marlins are in the playoffs.
I think it'd be awesome to see Skip make the playoffs on that team. That team far exceeded
expectations.
expectations.
Second the Padres are eliminated, you're all in Marlins.
Oh yeah. We'll do Marlin show tomorrow if that's the case.
Come on, Marlins!
I obviously I'm rooting for the Padres, but it is just so out of the realm of anything I can even fathom, even though I know it's baseball, even though I've now seen a catcher throw a ball to the 5-5 hole on a veteran catcher, by the way, who's been there in huge games before. I can't believe you guys have seen this. I've never seen anything like it. I've seen catchers sail it over the bag, pipe it into center field. I've seen him choke it and throw it 3 feet
it was
to
an
the ground.
idiotic throw in the Padres game last night in the 10th inning, trying to pick off Tatis at second in the 10th inning. Had no chance to get him. There was no one covering the base, and it ended up going into center field, and it moved the runner at first over to second, which allowed Manny's bloop to score 2 instead of 1. Not that it necessarily would have made a difference, but when you're the Padres, you want as big of a lead as you can in extra innings, trying to break a 12-game losing streak.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that they're still. You said for selfish reasons, though, it would be pretty interesting if both of those teams we needed to lose lost. We could come in here tomorrow, wrap up what essentially would be the season, with the Padres at least being somewhat in it every single day that we've been on the air this year.
I mean, just from where they were 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, they should have been knocked out a long time ago.
Taking this thing to the final weekend is just staggering.
It's one of the things that makes people the most insane is the fact that there's so many teams that have been in it.
Like nobody wants
nobody has grabbed it. I mean, it's just like once you think that you've got a good foothold on it and you like where you're staying, you go and drop 3 games in a row. And the Padres just keep winning games. And I'll tell you what, man, for narrative purposes, if we get down to the end of the season, Ben, and we miss out by a game, it's going to make Josh Hader is sweat. Josh Hader today is pulling for the Marlins like he's never pulled for the Marlins ever. He didn't know he loved the Marlins as much as he does. He's pulling for the Marlins. He's
And
pulling for the Cubs.
Big Cubs guy.
Big, huge Cubs guy. Because if they get down to Sunday and they lose by 1, those comments are, you're done.
But so is every loss, all season long.
No question.
It's already criminal
already
that
at
the
that
Padres aren't going to make the playoffs with this team. And, ESPN, Kylie McDaniel had an analysis this morning going, I mean, you look at this, you run this season simulated over and over and over again. Padres will make the playoffs almost every time.
Yep.
Just with what they did, what they had, what they produced on the field. It's crazy that they didn't. And he went into the leadership and the small balls and aspects. No one really has the answer 100% as to what went wrong for the Padres. Brian Kenny did a piece that I saw yesterday that, here's what's wrong with the Padres. But no, he doesn't come to the conclusion either. He said, well, base running and some fielding mistakes. Yeah, except the Padres are really good fielding. Yeah, they made some base running mistakes. Are you telling me that a couple of base running mistakes
ruined their season?
Turned what should have been a team that's 18 games
wins.
over 500 right now.
Because Ha-Seong Kim got picked off one time.
20 wins this year because Ha-Seong Kim got picked off a couple of
There's
times.
like 30 games you could go back to and just pick whatever we're going to need. 3 extra wins would have probably done it. There's going to be 30 games you could have gone back and looked and just been like, really?
Our pal Christopher tweets, the overreacting to April losses next year is going to be insufferable after seeing how this season ended.
True.
You're GD right. I'm going to be leading the charge. Because if we don't light a fire under them,
Opening day,
San Diego,
must win.
I told you last year, I was furious.
Yeah, you were
furious. Lose
All
to
right,
the Rockies.
that is it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow to wrap up the week and see where the Padres stand. But it's been a good week so far. Thanks to our executive producer, imaging director Paul Reindl. For Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Thursday from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long.